Yeah, that piece is funny.
I mean, that just tends to come with every hit piece that has happened in the last like 7 years for him, whether you like him or not. Every time I listen to somebody write about him in detail, what he says in his own words, you can only sell this to like politicos and mainstream intelligentsia who are already in the
Yeah.
beltway. Because try to explain that. It's like that meme with the Chinese kid, right? Where it's like his face in front of all of the migrant boats. It's just like you need 800 hours of like Twitter lore to understand who this character is and what's going on for this meme to make sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's it's take Gibson's Neuromancer, but like once you're finally plugged into cyberspace, you have to stay in, otherwise the language doesn't make sense anymore, and that's the kind of world we live in.
That's true.
You know. But how have you been,
What
man?
I've been all right, man. I've been busy actually. I did 3 hours with a very interesting podcast with Meta Prime, and this Sunday, I not Sunday, this Saturday. No, I have another thing to do Sunday, but this Saturday, I record. Hopefully, I can plow through the book again. I record with Marty Phillips, so I've been busy, man. But this is the Digital Archipelago, episode 53, and the Digital Archipelago, in the battlefield of ideas, we're carpet bombing the battlefield of ideas with the white phosphorus of truth. So I totally stole that tweet. I stole that from an in Julia's tweet. So I love that, man, because it's funny because I was like rewatching Spec Ops: The Line, and yeah, I think one of the greatest, I think, video games, like war video games ever made, was Spec Ops: The Line. And I know it's a rip off of Apocalypse Now, but it was pretty good. How have you been, man?
I've never played that game. I'm sure I've lost some credentials there, but everyone's done their video essay on it and such. But no, I haven't played the game. No, I'm doing great.
Burn
Burn them. No, I'm doing fantastic. I went to the ophthalmologist this morning. My eyes are in fantastic shape, although I'm wearing sunglasses IRL and on my profile picture here because my eyes are dilated beyond belief. But my vision is good, thank God.
What do you look like with sunglasses? Do you look like Ray Orbit sitting?
I'll send you a picture because I've got pictures of me in sunglasses. I think I don't take a lot of selfies or anything, so I've got to look for them. But I don't know what I look like because it's funny because I've heard people tell me I look like someone who's trying out for a 70s porno because of the mustache. But my favorite description. Actually, I have two favorite descriptions. One is from a mutual friend of mine and the myth of the repeal of the 20th century, where he was just like, I met Mr. Prudentialist IRL at the U.S. event, and he looks like a 1970s Brezhnev Soviet bureaucrat that just really wants to get the fuck on with his life.
Yeah, from like Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, which killed me. And then the other one is he looks like an Anglo World War I officer who's ready to shoot you if you don't go over the top.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't taken a lot of pictures with sunglasses. But no, I mean, it's been a fantastic week. Other than that, my vision's good. I had the Patron Book Club out. We covered Disappearance of Rituals by Byung-Chul Han. I really, really enjoyed that read. Go ahead and tune in on Substack, Subscribestar, or YouTube channel memberships. I just put out a new video earlier this morning called Digital Ayahuasca. It's one of my favorite Real Talk videos. Covers a little bit of John Perry Barlow, covers a little bit of the internet and drugs. I think that you all will really enjoy. Plus, I caught 2 fish on that recording, so that's fantastic. Then I think I'll be on Charlemagne's channel this Saturday, and just trying to think of what else. I've got a book review coming up on William Appleman Williams' Empire's a Way of Life. We're getting geopolitics back on the channel, ladies and gents. But yeah, it's been a fantastic week so far. It feels much longer than it has been in general in terms of content, but I've actually just been busy, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm trying to read the chat here. Press F for the fish. Which fish? What happened to fish? Let's see. I hope it didn't get clipped on.
Did Fishy Frenzy get banned?
I don't know. Let me check. But anyways, yeah, this week I released I released a great episode of Content Minded. No, he's still on Twitter. Go follow Frenzied Fish at Frenzied Fish on Twitter for the hottest takes. Um, I liked his one where it's like Giga Chad's like a forklift operator, and he's like suing his employer, but then like Soyjack's like no, like Soyjack is trying to sue the employer, but then the Giga Chad forklift operator is like, I don't care. Like, you go ahead, sue him. I don't care. But no, I released a great episode of Content Minded with my good friend Goran GSP from War Report. And yeah, so I've been like the whole thing is 4 hours, and it's in 2 parts on my Patreon and Substack, but most of it is free. Almost 3 hours is free, and the spicier stuff where we talk about the war in Ukraine, I had to put that behind a paywall. But yeah, so it's been great, man. I've just been busy this week, and I think like I like these streams because we could just sit back and talk about like a lot of different things that's been happening. But before we get to the black pills, 2 crucial points of victory recently. Number 1, Sargon won. Okay, press W in the chat for Sargon, because feminist frequency is no more. They're packing it. Anita is packing it in. I'm sure she's probably going to wash up in some kind of like NGO job or whatever. But press W in the chat. Okay, W for Sargon. There you go.
You need some energy for this, man. You
Yeah,
need
exactly.
like breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. We just have a breaking news right here, right now. We're reporting now that Anita Sarkeesian, feminist frequency, is no longer on the airwaves. I'm reporting now that a man from Swindon has finally achieved victory. The UK Independence Party is gone, and so is feminist frequency. A man now emerges victorious, no longer fat as he once was. It is a total victory for garbage humans everywhere. Do you have any comments, Mr. Panischetti?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. How many things has Sargon slayed? Okay, UKIP, his own potbelly, now feminist frequency, total Sargon victory. I saw that clip that he posted where someone edited him shooting a Barrett 50 caliber, and it's got like a breakcore mix in it. That was hilarious. That was great. It was really cool. But yeah, Anita's grift died. I'm pretty sure she's probably gonna, she'll probably fall upwards somewhere. She'll probably have to exit the public eye. What does she look like nowadays, Anita? I wonder.
You'd have to look her up. I don't know if we should put that on our audience, the damage here. I mean, the other caveat to this, it's nice that feminist frequency is going, but I feel like we kind of need that moment to wake up and smell the coffee beans.
Yeah.
Because she did win in the end.
Yeah,
feminist frequency is over, and I'm going to be the guy that gets to play off his own joke that I said on Twitter. We do live in a weird post-Sarkeesian age where video game characters are ugly. Vigia's dead in the AAA sphere. Neil Druckmann got his rocks off by directing a shitty revenge sequel fantasy with some like near. I'm not even going to get into it without risking stuff, but like, so where are people going? I mean, it's a great time if you like indie games and boomer shooters. I bought BattleBit yesterday because it was basically Battlefield 3, but in a Roblox like graphics. Really liked that. I've got an emulator to play all these PlayStation exclusives, like the older Ace Combat games that I really like. So yeah, I mean, she did win in the long run. Like, that industry has been longhoused and over bloated, not because, executives are making too much money. It's because we've got bloat. And like Red Dead Redemption had like 30, 40 minutes of credits. Red Dead Redemption 2, like all these people that shouldn't be making video games got credits for it. And so, yeah, like, congrats, Anita. You killed an industry, but you could not kill the man nor the idea. So garbage humans are...
Yeah, I gotta say, Anita looks all right. I mean, she has a terrible soul, but
what does she look like now?
She looks the same, actually.
Oh, she does look this. Well, a little fatter, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's right. That's all right. She's perfect the way she is.
She could lose some weight.
Yeah. See, you're doing the ZHP, like, renew. Oh, by the way, don't Renault Fault's been edge posting recently. There is this one thing, point of view.
See, I have to like take a pause when you say that. Like, an account known for being horny on main is edge posting. I have to like ask myself, what does he mean by this? Is he being edgy or is he edging himself?
One tweet is like, point of view, you don't have a prom date and your sister comes in your room. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? I said, what are you doing, Renault? Oh my God. But anyways, no, Anita, like, I mean, she looks better than Zoe Quinn, but I just think that Anita, like, you have to realize, I mean, okay, let's just, I promise that I get a little bit more serious, right? I think, like, when it comes to the post Gamergate world that we live in, King Salmonfish, apparently, he got suspended again. That's who got suspended.
That fish.
Yeah, so,
he'll be back.
He'll be back. Yeah,
Schizzos are like phoenixes. You know, they come back from the ashes.
Yeah, maybe his GF Haley will pull some strings. No, I'm kidding. People don't know the deep lore there. But anyways, you know the Tank Girl, not Tank Girl. That was a great film, actually. I know it had like furry undertones, but no, you know the military psyop girl.
What if it was the tank? Best? Oh no, I thought this was the glow job woman.
Yeah, the glow job woman. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that she was. I don't follow this story, so I didn't know that she was in a tank.
Well, let's just say that we have to thank King Salmonfish for his service, for thwarting a military psyop. But anyways, so Anita, like the post Anita world, I think that, you know, it's so ubiquitous nowadays, a lot of this thing, but you have to realize, like, I remember when we were going through Gamergate, it was like an aberration. Like, it was sort of treated still as, it's something that Nightmare Vision said once, that like these people thought that they were making fun of something that was an aberration, that was like politically far out there, but they were really just, they were more or less cartographers of the end of how the world would manifest. Thank you, Fishy Frenzy, for that donut, but I don't know if I can put it up on the screen because of the first one. But you know, there is something there when it yeah. But there's some, by the way, please sneed those super chats. We love our fish. We love our Fishy Frenzy. But no, the world of post Gamergate is, you know, Anita won. Like, okay, what is winning? Okay, the conditions of winning, I guess, for Anita was her destroying these people. And really, Sargon, I think, is the only one. I mean, apart from the few people, there are a few people who have come back who still do pretty decent. You know, because I think like people's indomitable spirit of transgression could never truly die. Like Millennial Woes comes to mind. But I think that, you know, apart from Sargon, it's really interesting how these people were cartographizing. They were like cartographers of this unique period where the sort of the way that not just the culture war, but society in general, where they were going. And the reason that Nita is sort of irrelevant is because really, I mean, most video game culture, which is really interesting, most official video game culture, apart from gamers themselves, and a lot of gamers actually that are like on the political left, but most of the sort of official capacity of quote unquote the video game industry is like totally colonized. And really, I mean, the problem was there was no clear objective back in those days. I think even Sargon probably said something to this effect. I think it was with AA actually, that there was no clear objective and there really wasn't anything that they could do beyond just calling it out, apart from like doing the whole like political lobbyist thing. But then it's like, it's sort of like you can't have a fair fight when like Anita's going to the UN with Zoe Quinn and going to these like video game conferences and calling Sargon a garbage human. And it's like, you know, significant symbolic mimetic victory that Sargon did. But in terms of material real world power, I mean, I don't want to say it's over. There will always be video games. There will always be people that, you know, want to transgress. Like I know recently there's been this viral tweet where it's like, I think it was from like 2001 where the PS2 came out and there's like these like old school nerds that are like buying it from a GameStop. And it really shows a completely different world than the one that we live in now. And it's really quite, I know it's like millennial nostalgia bait, but yeah, I mean, I want to get your thoughts on this, but also another point of victory. I don't know. I shouldn't gloat over this. I shouldn't gloat over this. I just find it funny. But apparently Sophie Trudeau and Justo they're getting divorced or they're separated now. And people are already speculating. I know Matt Walsh had this viral tweet about, you know, I don't know if Trudeau is in the closet. I am not going to say that. You know what I mean? But it's kind of, it is. I had this tweet that did quite well that I said the truckers won. So that was pretty funny. But yeah.
I went with the norm posting approach.
Yeah, that was good.
Breaking news. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife Sophie have announced that they are separated. When asked by reporters what the Prime Minister will do next, he said that he will probably find a nice woman in his home country of Cuba.
Sophie Trudeau ain't that bad looking.
My favorite reply to that tweet, though, was from Wade Stotts over at Canon Press, because he was just like, he sent me a New York Times article headline saying like Cuba's the hot spot for like gender transition surgeries, and I was like, that's even better.
Oh my god. But you could tell like she wore the pants. Like there was this like very weird. Have you ever seen this video, Prude? I mean, I know it probably didn't escape the containment. Maybe it has after the trucker thing. There's this like very weird video where Trudeau and Sophie, they're doing this like theater kid bit. It's like this cabaret thing where they're singing and they're doing a bit, and Trudeau's trying to like praise her. Where he's like, that really like that song really nourished us, love, and it was really weird. It was like this guy's got his,
was that Sophie's way of saying that song played in the bedroom, like
yeah, like she was singing and doing a bit, and Trudeau was like trying to do this theater kid thing, and Sophie just like dominated him, just balls in the purse type of domination. And Trudeau, like, it really is like, I don't know, man, like I could tell like there was rumors that they lived in a loveless marriage for a long time. Just like the way that they act together, like Sophie really does wear the pants in that relationship. Even more so, I mean, she's way less intelligent than Hillary Clinton, but you got the whole like Hillary Bill Clinton vibes going on, you know what I mean? So
yeah, there's a little bit of that, but I think that it just kind of shows that in relationship.
Is that pound sterling, that symbol, by the way? In that,
yes, that is pound sterling.
Holy crap! Okay, we'll get to it. I'll have to save my excitement. Anyways, go ahead, Prue. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like it's something that you kind of want to laugh at, but I think it just indicates that whatever comes next is going to be faker and even more gayer than what we've got now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with like the Anita bit. Like she's probably moved on to other things, but I mean, her legacy is still indicative that weird feminist aura is going to be there for a very long time, and it's not going away anytime soon. Like I still play a shitload of mods for like Halo CE, right? Like a 20-plus-year-old video game that just has.
People still mod Halo.
People still mod Halo, and I mean mod and mod support is out, but like because it's on the Steam Workshop now, I can just install mods without going to Nexus Mods or ModDB to install things. It's easier to play modded experiences of a 20-year-old game that has a great combat loop, and it's fantastic. Like that's the way it goes. And so I don't have to worry about the Zero Dark Horizons game or whatever, where they made the female protagonist even more ugly and things like that. Like, I don't need to bother about it. Like, I know that things are bad in the same way I know Hollywood is bad. And I don't expect an ounce of creativity to come from people that work at a AAA studios. And I mean, it's kind of funny because everyone who does like video game review stuff as of late, and that's my guilty non-political pleasure to listen to. And, more people from like Ross Scott to Patrician TV to a few other people have been reviewing this. And I've talked about it in a couple episodes ago, was talking about, I think his name is like Justin Truman or something like that, over games as a service model. And he was talking about how Bungie, the studio that used to make great first-person shooters like Halo, they're permanently live service games now. Like Bungie can never make a box product again. And so like they've taken the corpse of the Marathon trilogy, a great 1990s Mac exclusive shooter trilogy, although you can play it on PC now. That's all, they've
They had Mac exclusives?
They had Mac exclusives back in the 90s, yeah.
Whoa.
Weird. I mean, originally Halo was supposed to be a Macintosh exclusive. But like, yeah. So anyways, Justin Truman was just basically saying like, yeah, we're a live service model now. And you have to expect that I know it's funny. You have to expect your games to be shit when they roll out, but you have to be fast. So it's rather, bad. Yeah, subscription as service, games as service model is awful. And so he's like, yeah, this is what Bungie does now. And I'm not surprised that this is the way things are going to go. And they had to resurrect Marathon to be a live service extraction shooter. Like, who wants to do that? Like, a game that has so much great lore and writing has now been brought up from the dead to be a shitty live service extraction shooter. Like, oh, it just makes me sick. And that's sort of that trend was separate from the Anita and feminist stuff, but it's just, they all kind of coincide to where this industry is near it's a bubble. I think it's going to pop soon. And if we're lucky, that means that the industry will reshuffle and do something new and interesting, just like it did after, 2004 and 2008. We'll see. But if not, let it die and appreciate what you had.
What is a subscription as service thing?
So take the Destiny games, for example, right? They're a live service, multiple seasons, or Rainbow Six Siege is actually probably like a really good example of this. They've done it right. Where that game is
Rainbow Six Siege, yeah.
That game is like what, nearly 10 years old now. And it's incredibly, it's still popular, it's still well maintained. And I mean, whereas with Destiny, it's like you have all these microtransactions. It's always online. There's not a single player component to it. It's an online experience. The same thing with like Call of Duty and others now. Everything is a live service game. It's 8 years old.
Oh, you pay monthly rather than owning. Oh, I see.
Well, there's that. There's also Game Pass with Xbox, where you pay monthly, like Netflix subscription, to download and play games for free. And it's just it's awful. I mean, Adobe Creative Suite, Microsoft Office 365, they're all service, subscription as service, the product as service. It's awful.
I think like hard video games that are sort of like single box, yes, that's a terrible idea. But I think like if these people in the game industry wanted to get creative, right? Say they have, take No Man's Sky, okay? Say you had a right version of this that was interesting. Say you could replicate a pay-for-play model of something like Second Life, but something more directed. Something that is a video game that has like a universal lore that's immersive. Sort of like, I'm thinking like World of Warcraft, right? But something that like is a bit more immersive or a bit more like free range. Like the whole like subscription service thing could work if it was like a new thing that was like going to change how people look at video games, or it would be like this own thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just spitballing. And I guess WoW was kind of like that, right? Like any MMO is already like that. But
I mean, World of Warcraft has left a bigger legacy, I think, on a lot of live service products than a lot of people want to admit.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because like the legendaries, the colored loot and stuff like that, it's definitely left its mark even to this day about all that. And I mean, like it's a permanent feature for now, although I am hopeful, just in the past with other studios, that people will just like quit and form other studios and do things with incredible tech. I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to. Because if not, let it be. I let it. Things have gone to pass, and whatever comes next either will be really good or they will double down on this stuff. And maybe they'll all just evolve into crabs, as Tactical Droid points out in the chat.
We'll just all Impact.
Return to crab. Return to crab.
Like you could have something like I mean, this is probably going to be terrible, but like a combination of like social media and video games could be like a GeoCities, or what was that Japanese one before GeoCities?
I don't remember.
Oh man. Like you could create something that is like in some ways a return to an older model of the internet, but would be like kind of half a video game, half a social media site, half of what Second Life kind of is. Although Second Life, like the interactivity is much more like talk based, and like the little side quest games that you do is not like that important. But if you were to have something that's like an open world that has its mythology to it the way that WoW does, but would be more interactive and more social media driven, you could like basically create digital methamphetamine. You know what I mean? Like you could create something like a totally immersive digital ayahuasca experience.
Hey, it's the title of my video.
Yeah, there you go. Is Gio telling us Pokemon go to the polls? Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
oh, there's a deep 2016 cut right there. Pokemon go to the polls. Thank you, Hillary.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. No, but you could have something like that. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, I still think, but yet the problem is when you're dealing with like modern meme culture and like modern ways that people experience things as opposed to the early internet, it's not going to work because it'll always have this like layer of inauthenticity to it. And I think like the only thing this could happen, the only thing this could work is if like it's a niche thing and it keeps under a certain player base and only a few. I think that's how WoW survived for so long. Is that like like okay, I'll tell you a story. This is deep geo lore. But when I was in high school, back in the day, right? I remember I had the shop teacher, this mechanic teacher, and he was like this. I think his name was Mr. Roscoe, and he like was like a WoW nerd. He was like one of these like old school like alpha nerds. Like you could tell like he was a pioneer of like Usenet and the early internet. And he had his like own server that he would like rent out to people and everything. Um and like he was just like this WoW freak. And he had like 3 different characters he paid for. And like really like you can't get that authentic. It would be a heroic feat to recapitulate that like totally authentic OG nerd culture because the nature of the nerd has changed, right? Like the nature of like, let's face it, like, old school neurodivergent, largely white, largely like suburban, they maybe have some experience with engineering or tech or something. That type of thing is gone. Anything like that is going to be filled with people people that are not that profile. Or it could be Redditified or whatever. Or you'll have some kind of like weird thing attached to it nowadays. I mean, that type of world of the early nerd has passed us by. And people like, you could blame Anita all you want to tie this in, but that older model was sort of on the way out, and corporations do not want to invest in those type of people anymore. They want like mass slop. They want visual something slop. They don't want like something to be meaningful and niche and appealing. And I think also this like drive towards anime or even video games that are anime, like like what's that one anime where it's like they're like it's like a video game. Not Fumo. Is it Fumo or is it something else?
Sword Art Online.
Yeah, there's sort of a line, but like there's like the gun one, the gun fu one, where they like go to this different world.
No idea.
Oh, what's it? Is it Fumo?
Anime people, go in. This is your chance. Because I don't know, and Gio needs help.
Oh, what's it called? Tohu. That's what it's called. Tohu. There you go. That's yeah. They have like music, and it's like a gun shooter thing, and it's like an expanded world. Tohu. Sorry, Donald Trump Gaming. Tohu. Yeah. So it's like I think that's what the appeal of it is. But anyways, one last point is that I find it incredible that our political dynasty in Canada, like father, like stepfather, like son. Oh, it's pronounced Toho. Okay, not Tohu. Toho. Sorry, I'm very sorry, Eric. It's very funny how like our political dynasty in Canada, like they can't keep down a woman to save their lives. Like look at Sophie Trudeau now. Look at Gloria Trudeau. I mean, look what she was doing with rock stars and allegedly Fidel Castro. Um, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that's definitely gone up here, and I think that that's a point that I mean, that, like someone, I think it was Nugloff in the chat that said Dave's nerd culture videos have aged really well. I mean, like really, what's happened is that you've destroyed mechanisms of gatekeeping, and you've made something far more accessible to a point now, right? It's like the which way Western man kind of memes, where like a lot of these games and a lot of these fandoms really diverged into two different cultures. Like you've got the trans core type people with like Fallout games and whatnot. And then you've got
essential transcore.
no, I mean, yeah, right, where it's just all the basic video games of like the 2010s, and it's like, gee, I wonder what kind of impact that might have had with you playing video games as female characters. But anyways, like it just also illustrates that, like on one side, trans core, right, and then on the other side, like no, the Legion and Mr. House are based because of XYZ reasons, and those are the ways that you want to go for it, right? Like that's how it is. And I think once you, and also like the same thing with like tabletop games as well, right? Like they want people to go out and about and knock down gatekeeping because that's the way it is. Like that's the worst part. Because like even in my tabletop gaming communities, where whether I was playing like Flames of War or some Star Wars tabletops, it was just like once some guy decided to troon out, you're like, all right, the gaming group is dead because no one wants to deal with that right now. And that's how things die real quickly. It's awful.
I just discovered they have two Who albums that are like Japanese power metal. They're like tech death. It's like that particular form of Japanese tech death. That's crazy, man. I gotta get in more. I gotta get more. Like I gotta really. Maybe I should have someone should make. No, would that be too far if I had an anime profile picture of my my Bodhisattva here? That'd be too much.
Just a bit.
Yeah, that would
just
be too
a
much.
Bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm reading the comments in the chat. I mean, like, I don't think Marvel certainly didn't help itself either. But I mean, like, it's coasting towards a nice slow death, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't think anyone cared after Marvel gave its finale with Endgame. Like, does anyone care? Apparently, Disney's losing money. Like, that's great. Yeah, and Matthew Berry's got a good point. The nerd is now the average person. And
where is
the
this?
Average in the chat.
Oh, here
from Matthew Berry. Yeah, the nerd is now the average person. Like I do like that kind of claim because everyone kind of gets nerdy about games, or they can they'll find a video and they'll find something interesting. And I'm just as guilty of this. I just don't talk about it on main. Like there was a YouTube video that covered the entire Ace Combat retrospective series. And he did a retrospective of the entire series. And like the video production was great. The guy genuinely loved the game and things like that. And you're just like, it's nice. But at the same time, right, it also invites any random stranger to come in and make that community or whatever, just toxic or progressive or whatever. And so you got to have the gates up and ready to go. That's just the case. The real story is the number of autists taking the Troon Shine, says Eric. Yeah, it goes back to that famous tweet about how it was, dispersing HRT and thigh-high socks to nerds was like, dispersing crack.
That was my good friend ADLI.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic. It's a fantastic tweet. I mean, it's just true.
I can't believe he's still on Twitter with his account because like that gets shared on Reddit. That periodically goes viral on Twitter. It's made it everywhere.
It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite tweets of all time, alongside Howling Mutant's tweet about how a black woman like landed on the moon or whatever.
Yeah. Do you want to get you may know what's wrong?
Do you want to get fired, or like do you want to just admit that a black person landed on the moon? Like. Those are the best ones. Yeah, and I mean, I know that it's a super chat, but I kind of want to, like, there is a good point to it. Like, there is the whole Robert Conquest 3 laws of politics. Every man is conservative about what he knows best. Every man is a nerd about which he knows best. That's very true. Like,
yeah,
I get nerdy about like IR literature and things like that. Like, I still get excited when certain authors put out a new academic article. Like that stuff is exciting, but True nerd, true in, troon. Oh no. Oh no.
No.
No. Um,
No.
but yeah, so but yeah, the long legacy of Anita is still there. Her problematic glasses will still linger over the community as more and more people troon out and decide to be programmers for certain video games as Bungie puts on their pronouns for all their producers and stuff. It's certainly a shame, isn't it? But speaking of which, I have to find a new like barber shop because
Oh
like one
yeah.
of the I do because I got a haircut yesterday, which was much needed, and all of a sudden, I usually the lady I usually go to, she's great and whatnot, and then like they were packed, and all of a sudden, one of their people that they have working there, one of their hairstylist barbers, just this 6'2" very pudgy man in a dress walks in, and he's like getting his station set up, and I'm like, all right, I'm out,
This
I
is
gotta
it.
go. This is it. I'm out, I'm done, I gotta go find a new barber. Love you,
Look at
lady,
that.
but I'm done.
Look at that Trunanon. My cock's long. You know what? They went viral the other week. I know the one guy, what's his name? Belden. I think he called me fat once on Twitter. He was the one that volunteered for my heckin' wholesome communist Kurdistan guerrilla fighters, and he was like coordinating bombing runs with the CIA. I don't know, man. It's funny. And then also the same day, the news came out that like Chapo Trap House had this thing where they weren't going to talk about Syria. Did you see this, Prude?
No, I didn't.
So the Irony Left is basically a left-wing version of a Gladio op, more or less. Gladio. Thank you, Record Beebus. Instead of Gladio fascism, Gladio communism. But that's a good transition. You want to talk about MAGA communism? The whole South Africa thing? I can't get that song out of my head.
Do not.
Yeah, I can't. I know.
Gladio transgenderism. Yeah. But
like
it's
that.
awful.
It's terrible, man. Like I wanted to talk about it because I sent you these Hanania tweets and he was like trolling people, but like
I have him blocked. It's great. I never have to hear anything about Hanania ever again because he just enjoys the ever-loving shit out of trolling people. He's so good at baiting. I have to give Richard credit we're not that Richard, but Hanania. I have to give Hanania credit.
Well, kind of both of them, they're good at baiting.
Both of them are good at baiting, but one of them does it for sardonic pleasure. The other one does it because he knows that he can piss people off.
Yeah.
I won't say which Richard though. But Hanani is really good at bait, and it's fantastic. And I did enjoy his tweet about the Trump indictment stuff, which we can get into later.
Yeah, we got to get into.
Hanani is good at that. But yeah, no. So I talked with our good friend Conscious Caracol Ernst von Zeil over a year ago about the Julius Malema trial about the phrase "kill the boar" and whether or not it was supposed to be hate speech or not. And obviously, to see this kind of make the news again and to see all this, come into the also because it has to come from a disgusting communist. Like that's the worst part is some fascist that has to go. Actually, this doesn't. No, it
this
really
is a protest song. They don't mean actual boars. They don't mean actual Afrikaners. They just mean like farmers. And they're like, well, that's that's what Future Moldovan says. Like, well, that's kind of screwed up. Why do you hate farm? Well, but most of the farmers are actually Afrikaners. So it's like, it's like a distinction without a difference. It's really funny.
It's all kind of fucked up to say the least, but like it goes back to the evergreen point that, Mystery Grove tweeted out that actually comes back from Jonathan Bowden, that communism is a bunch of disgusting, dysgenic freaks that hate normalcy and would do nothing more than to kill productive, healthy members of society. And that's what they are. And I think that it's really good that I find it funny that Elon Musk hasn't brought this issue further into the public purview, but he did his famous little exclamation mark tweets, which is a good use of his power because he's the most, followed man on Twitter, I think. And they let him go out of their way to just like say, oh, this is actually really important, which is a good thing for people to focus on. and I think so.
Yeah, it's like
And
a neat tweet about being an Austrian painter. That's
yeah, right. And
whoa,
so
have a normal one, bro. Mask
yeah,
off, bro.
mask
Like
off, bro. I can't
no,
believe you said that dog whistle.
and so
Um,
like and so like all these leftheads are like, no, actually, I do want to like redact all Afrikaners. Yes.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what they want. And so, needless to say, this
Well, the
third
MAGA
worldist
communist
version.
yeah, go ahead, Prue. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say all that this really is that some third worldist version of Vaush, who is shorter than Vaush, has gone on out of his way to defend the point and say that this is actually about like capitalist colonialist exploitation. And I'm sorry, every time that that's the case, I just look at the Haitian Revolution and every other socialist
Look at the history of
revolution.
South Africa. Look
Look at
at
the
the history
history
of
of
South
South
Africa in the
Africa.
80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a man betrayed Ian Smith, but all that we got here is just a bunch of
Yeah.
yeah. All we have right now is a bunch of overly online communist LARPers who have never experienced violence, threat of harm, or deprivation of food, security, or livelihood in their entire lives, going off about something like every westernized communist in the world,
Yeah.
talking about these things like they're no
just
big
more
deal.
socially conservative than the average communist in the West.
No, they're just like Chapo. They're just like every sort of dirtbag leftist. Oh man, this lefty said gay in a derogatory manner.
Tweet.
Yeah, it's basically that.
Oh, they're different than Democrats. I don't know what to deal with here. I don't know what I'm dealing with.
Oh
here.
man, they don't like troons. That must mean that they're a different kind of libtard. No, they're awful. They're awful. And they're just disgusting people, and they really do not need to be given a platform. And I mean, yeah, I get it. There's going to be a debate between Haas and Patrick Casey this Friday.
Oh
by
my
all
God,
means,
really?
yeah, he's going to be debating him this Friday on this issue.
Where?
I believe on his channel, on YouTube. We'll see how it goes.
Well, like I'm crossed because of the Russia thing, but well, we'll
I don't.
get into that.
I mean, I know that there's I know that there's, of course, like America, there's a big ethnic issue inside of Russia and the Oblasts and things like that. I just don't consider him Russian. I just consider him like a short, terminally online, Americanized manlet who thinks communism's the way to go. And
wait, no, Haas isn't Russian. He's Turkish, isn't he?
Well, he supports Russia. He's got the Russian.
No, I know, yeah. But first of all, I think to clear the air, like the Kremlin has nothing to do with this Melina guy. Like, you know what I mean? But also,
the whole Malema talking about like Putin is Africa.
Putin is Africa. Yeah, like, go ahead, Prude.
I just think it really does illustrate. Well, I mean, there is a push for the online. I mean, there is a push.
That's right, internet friend. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I know the reference. Have you guys ever watched Caleb Maupin? I mean, I've read his book, "BreadTube Serves Imperialism," which was an interesting read from a socialist. But him to basically just call,
Maupin?
yeah, no. Have you read the book? It's
I've
actually a really entertaining read. I highly recommend it.
I don't know why they take him. Like, there's like Antifa accounts that like follow this guy around. Like, why do they care about him? Like, he's like, I don't know. Caleb Maupin's kind of like
he already got canceled for being like for sexual harassment or assault or whatever. But he wrote a book called "BreadTube Serves Imperialism," and that book is actually really entertaining. Oh, I think he was a sex pest. Name one socialist that wasn't a sex pest. I'm sorry.
You want to hear about like all the heads?
You want to talk about sex pests? Go to a fucking like Democratic Socialist meeting. Oh my gosh.
Wasn't even Rosa Luxemburg like? Didn't she have some Sussy Baca things going on too?
Every socialist has been filled with absolute sexual depravity on all ends.
You remember that one meeting that Logo was in? Who? Can you imagine?
That was the Caleb Maupin meeting where he's just got his arm up on the side. That was a Maupin his little think tank that he's got going on. But the book is interesting where he calls people like Vaush arslers and basically says these guys just like get their talking points from other people. They obviously have handlers. And it's just like
you know what's funny is that they
spanking isn't my problem, it's America's problem. Maupin after being
there were like these there was like these Antifa accounts that went after Maupin, and their big own was the fact that Logo used to be a frog, and that Logo is somehow tied to Maupin, even though Logo denounced the frogs. because these people, they have terrible info.
They have terrible. Yeah, they really do.
Gio, do you want to still spam bomb bread tubers with Loser Luxembourg? Yeah. Let's do the Rosa equivalent to follow your leader posting, but like with Rosa Luxembourg in the ditch. That would be funny. But no, but it's funny. Like, go ahead, Prude. You had a point about. I don't know. I just think Caleb Moppet is a serious figure. I don't know why. I have nothing against him, but of course I like disagree with him. It's just like I know like they try to pin him as like flirting with people like Dugan. I think he actually had a meeting with Dugan. I don't know.
I didn't know that. I mean, Caleb has actually interviewed Praise of Folly a few times, or he's been on Praise of Folly's channel.
Really?
Yeah, you can look it up. So I mean, like, he doesn't have a problem talking to right wingers or non-lefties. Because like I've read his book. I thought it was interesting. I bought his book before I knew who he was. That tells you like my own lack of lore, right? It's just kind of funny in that respect. But I don't know. I kind of hold that old Styx Hexenhammer idea where maybe you really shouldn't platform these people and debate these people.
Yeah.
That's a take that I'm very sympathetic to, because like, why would I want to give a disgusting commie a platform? Like, no, thank you. Stay in your little Twitch ghetto of vapid pay piggies whose IQ is as room temperature as these reactors claim to be. So I mean, like, I have no desire to.
I can't wait till Haas calls Patrick a little cuck or something like that. I can't wait till that. Like, because Patrick's so perennially calm that like I guarantee you. Oh, did Maupin speak to Cultured Thug? Well, there you go. Like that'll get him. Yeah, that probably got him into trouble with the left. No, but I can't wait for Patrick just to sit there, like as calm as can be, and for Haas just to like go off and like just I don't know, like it's is Hana. I mean, yeah, Haas. I mean, he's not that dishonest. Like he's not like I mean. I don't agree with the dude, but I think like he's just fundamentally like his assumptions in that thread that people were replying to, I think are fundamentally flawed, where his point is that the West wants to provoke an intervention in Africa so they could kick out the Chinese and the Russians and they could do some type of Gladio.
France will do that before we do.
Yeah. Like, but his thing was that they're going to do like a Gladio op where they're going to get like Western white nationalists to, I don't know, go to Africa, like what? Like they're gonna like Rhodesia post? Is that what they're gonna do?
Really, you're gonna Rhodesia post me to help support the Nigerians?
Yeah,
really,
like it's
really,
but like it's
a whole other region of Africa.
Yeah,
just south of the Sahel. No,
no, but like it's
that might work for Jason Hinkle. That will not work for me.
Yeah, Jackson Hinkle. Yeah. No, but it's wrong in its face, because if you look at the history of it, I mean, who's hated the Afrikaners more than the US government? Really, honestly. Like, if we're going to be honest about the history of anti-colonialist movements from the 70s all the way up until the 1990s, when that, that one particular regime in South Africa and in Zimbabwe ended. I mean, really, this argument that like they're gonna use the Afrikaners by like getting a fake op of this what's his name? Malema. Yeah, they're fomenting this like international hatred against the Boers because they want like Western right wingers to go there. Like, I don't understand what that thread was confusing to me. Maybe Haas has a point. I'm being charitable here, but it's just, it didn't make. And the whole Russian thing too. The thing I wanted to say is that I am also critical of the sort of like the Russian equivalent of the Boomer Truth regime that a lot of people in the high command in the Kremlin, like Shoigu and Putin, they believe in, of this like weirdo mix of like, the West, they're like Austrian painters, but they're also like, the global disco of E. Michael Jones is saying, right? The global, right? But I think like, of course, if I agree that if Russia wanted to like, actually do something, they probably would do like supporting dissidents in the West. But I understand that they have a lot of allies in Africa. But it's like, I mean, the reality is like there's a lot of people on the political right that are critical of Russia, and it's like who's conducting the migrant crisis in Europe? Is it Russia, or is it Western backed? Is it these governments of Europe that are largely controlled nowadays by America? That's a serious question, right? But at the same time, I think like the Russians doing this like third worldist multicultural thing where they're signing on with else. Didn't they sign on with Bolivia or that other guy in Venezuela? Like they're doing this, the BRICS.
But also like, I feel like there's
like
also
I don't trust China and Russia either. I mean, sorry, I don't trust China in Africa either. I think that's a terrible mistake. I think China controlling all of Africa is probably a bad idea. But
I had to chuckle.
Yeah.
I have to chuckle when like someone like Haas will say, "Oh, by the way, like this is like Africa's rising, and like we're gonna bring these people up," and it's just like
we're gonna bring them up so they could go under the thumb of the CCP.
Yeah, no, that's basically what it is. It's just like we support Chinese neo-colonialism. We want the yellow man to have his own version of the scramble for Africa, and I'm like, just be honest, man.
You want to talk about racism? The racism China has towards Africa? Like, are you kidding?
That I think this is partially why they're kind of like optimized to do it. The great room temp is rising. But no, I think that there's also the issue of during the time of the Soviet Union, this sort of third worldist calling out America for its racism and its own internal issues in the West.
Communism was always communism.
This has always been we're just kind of getting the Cold War's greatest hits right now.
No, but because there was a time in the 2010s where people were doing the Nazbol thing. Communism was always kind of like against Europeans. You know what I mean? Like communism was always sort of like third worldist, and they would always. And the thing is, the whole thing about America and anti-colonialism. In the public face, the Russians would always do this thing about like America's evil and racist. But behind the scenes, I mean, there was moments where like the American government and the Soviets and the Chinese, they would basically tag team to decolonize and destabilize these colonies in Africa and the Middle East and in South America. And they were dicking over the old world powers. I mean, look what happened with the Iran-Iraq war. I mean, the communists and the American government basically tag team to go against Ayatollah Khomeini's revolutionary government. And of course, initially the communists supported Ayatollah Khomeini, but then of course, look what he did to the Communist Party in Iran. So, it's that there's a very lurid history there. Because there still were subversive elements within the U.S. government from the FDR administration onwards. We talked about Oppenheimer last week, and it's like, they sort of downplayed it, but there were obviously like very sus elements of the U.S. government that were against McCarthy and were against the paleocons and the anti-communists and the Birchers. I mean, Prude, you probably know more about this history.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like we didn't talk about with the movie too much, but I mean, like we saw throughout after the 1940s and after sort of McCarthyism, the anti-communist pushes of the late 40s and the early 50s fail. You really do see a widespread change between sort of the waspy political and academic elite towards this more Jewish and Catholic sort of coalition that changes things in our perspective there. And so I think the Cold War is also like thoroughly brought about within these sort of anti
the Catholics had control of the unionist movements.
Well, that too, right? Like there's also the
Catholic Democrats.
Yeah, you have that too. And that's a big part of like JFK's rise to power as well.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm very sorry. As a Catholic, a great old Catholic, I'm very sorry.
I do feel bad because there are a lot of pernicious elements inside like
the Catholic Church.
Right. Like just go follow Pope Head's account, you'll see him. But like it's really depressing in that respect because it's just like I do know a lot.
Look at the immigration thing nowadays.
Well, yeah, that too. I could go on for hours about that, but like liberation theology is god awful. And that's been a big part of the problem. But yeah, I always do feel bad for like really good, faithful Catholics, both cradle and convert, that are just like, I'm just trying to like worship God and Christ. And it's just like, JFK, how did he do? Well, it was a mind blowing election. I'll say that much. But, it
mind blowing election. Oh,
yeah.
that's
Look,
crazy.
Jackie knows what her own ass is worth, but don't like. I think that's really all we can say with that respect.
Well,
But
being a Catholic, you're always going to be in shaky foundation in America because of it being a Protestant
yeah,
nation. And I do, as a Catholic, I mean, my father's family's been in Canada for 100 years, but being a son of an Ellis Islander, I'm consciously aware of the fact that North America is sort of a Protestant land, right? Well, I mean, apart from Quebec, but I mean, Quebec is like nowadays, I mean, to say that Quebec is Catholic still is like ridiculous. But no, I do think that Catholicism in America, now I will say that there was a rival, and there still kind of is nowadays, especially with younger Catholic converts. There is well, I mean, there's problems with them, but there's a rival conservative strain. Like a lot of Birchers were Catholics.
I mean,
Father
Joe Sobrand was a
McLaughlin.
famous Catholic.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's one of my favorite
Fulton
paleocons of
Sheehan.
all time.
Yeah, Fulton Sheehan was a hardcore anti-communist. But there were Catholics in America, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just have to get this off my chest.
Yeah, no, you're good.
There were a lot of Catholic leadership, even bishops, I hate to say this, in America, that if they weren't outright sympathetic to communism or leftist politics via liberation theology, then they might as well have been. And a lot of them, to Pope John Paul II's credit, a lot of them were cleared out, right? But the Catholic Church has always been, as the Catholic Church has been in this internal struggle, the external struggle, especially in the American political backdrop, is always there as well. And also you have to contend with the fact that Catholicism is already on a shaky foundation in America, because America is a Protestant nation. Okay. Like, I know as a Catholic myself, it's just reality. And I respect that. I mean, listen, there's a lot of elements of Protestantism I don't understand or agree with, right? Theologically. But, I respect those people. Same here in Canada. Like, the Anglican Church in Anglophone Canada is the church, for a long time anyways, but you know what I mean, right? As British loyalists. But so the internal war that happened within the Catholic Church in the 20th century was externalized into the American political landscape. And I don't want a black pill, but the subversive elements in the Catholic Church, even up until nowadays, have won, or are winning, unfortunately. And I know, like, a lot of Catholics who are more traditionalist or who are conservative or who are outright right wingers, right? Like, even people like Church Militant or whoever, I think like they have a series of copes. I'm not calling out Church Militant. I'm just saying that a lot of rad trads and all that, and a lot of SSPX people, like, they, I mean, you got to realize the real gravity of the problem in the Catholic Church. Now, does our good mutual and friend Popehead go a little too far? Does the authors that he cites go a little too far? Yeah, of course. Rhetorically, yes. But there are deep, deep, deep problems within the Catholic Church, especially the Catholic Church in Canada and America. More so in America. The Catholic Church in America, I mean, has so many different problems that it's unreal. But sorry, Prue, this is just a little Catholic rant, so you take the floor, my friend.
Oh, I mean, it's always time to have a good little rant and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just it's been a wild ride in respects to just the news and stuff like that. Like, what a weird time to be.
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah. But let me, about the Russia thing, let me read to you what comment I wanted to, that I think is my opinion exactly. Now, this is from our good friend Sun Optimist. Go and follow Sun Optimist. Let me put his @ in the chat. At Christus Victor. That is how you find Sun Optimist in the chat.
Yeah, he's a great
Um,
guy. One of my favorite mutuals.
now this is a deleted tweet from Mythic, who used to go by Among the Ruins. Really great account, but he had this thing about now he doesn't support Russia, blah blah blah. But this is, I think, the perfect middle of the road take that I believe in the most charitable of sense. So he said, and, I'm Canadian, so let's say, of course, Canada is different. You know that Canada is run by an ethno narcissist lobby. You know that, Prude?
You mean Ukrainians?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to say, but yeah, Um, well, Christia Freeland, right? Like, she's a hardcore, but anyways. So Sun Optimist says American patriots are in a strange tension with the Russian stuff. It would be treasonous to stand with another country over your own. But any American supportive of the current occupying regime is equally traitorous to America the Beautiful, America's values. I can admire Russia's revocation of the same occupational class without thinking they have my interests at heart or in mind as an American. I also do not support what they are saying in terms of third worldism. I will also stand with my country, even if its politicians are beholden to foreign ideologues, and much of its people are NPCs or imported weaponized voting blocks. I will support Russia's effort, however, against my enemies, even if it doesn't make them a friend to me or my country. I don't expect any other nation to have my best interests in mind, and certainly not the present American regime. And I would add that, although I said that, this is the most sensible take, but we are sort of at a crossroads because ideologically, yeah, if you're a right winger in America, then yes, I mean, Russia does not have your interests in mind. That's obvious. Um, but at the same time, when it comes to this occupying regime of Washington and the State Department, if they can take an L in Europe, I mean, I don't see what's bad about that, as I've always maintained. But I don't have any illusions. I'm not a Duganist. I don't have this like fantasy about based Russia. But I do think that we live in very strange and interesting times. But I've talked for far too much. So, Prude, you take the floor, my friend. What do you think of all that stuff? And the
Uh,
Catholic thing, I guess, before
well,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Record Deepness has a lot of my thoughts here. Just non-interventionism is not treasonous.
Yeah.
Uh, I
There you
mean,
go.
like, this has been the big debate between sort of like the American historiography has always been the case with whether or not America was determined for its imperialism or was meant to be something else. And so there's a really big debate about that. I've kind of firmly been in the camp of that. The old Anglo-American tradition has always been exit. Nick Land talks about that in The Dark Enlightenment. But I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
earlier, when you take a look at the expansion past the Appalachian Mountains, like the desire was to always move further and further and out of there. Mr. Patchouli, I'll laugh at that in a second. That's pretty funny. But so yeah, but at the same time, the frontier closed. And this is sort of Frederick Jackson Turner's thesis about the historical significance of the American frontier. And after that form of Americanization, the frontier of America and going west had kind of closed and became more formal as a country. You had to look elsewhere. And so that sort of idea of filibustering or invading came about. And that's where you had empire come in. And ironically, it was funny because it was some of the earliest progressives of America's turn of the century, Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, and a few others, that were very adamantly against it, is towards an old tradition. They were more progressive on the issues of the worker and labor.
Yeah.
And now that's definitely changed. And
Mm.
now it's sort of this old right position, which has definitely gone away. You can read Ex America or Rise of Empire by Garrett Garrett if you want a good idea of what that looks like. And, it's all gone. And it is Samuel Clemens and Mark Twain. It's like Dr. Bugman and Mr. Chad. It's sort of like that.
Yeah.
They are, in a lot of ways, they kind of are two different men. But that's a story for another time. I think, has Art of Darkness done a podcast? Have they done a Mark Twain episode yet? They really need
Yes,
to.
they have.
Oh, they have. Okay, good. Go look
Yes.
them up. They're fantastic. I
Well,
really do like their work.
even
But
Thomas 77 said, like, in the South in America, there was a tradition of more liberal economic policies meeting social conservatism that is not like, is not like associated with, mid-century Germans, but were inborn to America. I'm thinking like Huey Long, like Thomas goes into this, I think, with Pete Quinones, like the tradition of America that people like a huge number of people really want, from your average manga boomer con to like the frogs to even certain people on the political left. the sort of like marriage of social conservatism and economic populism and liberalism that Trump at least in part represented. You don't have to like go to some like far out cartoonishly evil version of like whatever ideological excess you think of in, without saying it for YouTube reasons. But in America, there was the inklings of that, there is like a sort of more of an economically populist social conservatism that was present already. And this whole like notion, this like liberal psyop that America was always like, either hardcore cutthroat libertarian capitalism or it was like social progressivism. Like that's a false dichotomy. And I think the value of Trumpism was sort of like thinking of politics away from these dichotomies that are very meaningful. But unfortunately, as time went on, I mean, well, because of Trump's handlers and because of the swamp creatures that were a part of his regime, it didn't manifest into. I mean, who knows what's going to happen next year? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of a good transition point. Who knows what's going to happen next year? Because this is the third plus indictment on Trump. I've lost the number of counts because there's some state ones and then some federal ones. But I mean, they really.
Well, before we get to that, though,
yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to this idea that Nick Land said about like America being a form of exit all the time. Like, why do you think that is? Do you think it's just because the foundation of America is sort of like a political exit from the old world? Will Russian army counterattack and liberate Gonzalo there? Well, I hope so. I pray for Gonzalo. I mean, he apparently he's been captured by the FSB again. So
or the SBU.
SBU, yeah, and he
FSB
says that
is Russian.
Oh, sorry, SBU. Sorry. Oh my god, that's a big Freudian slip. I wish he was captured by the FSB. But no, he said in his videos that if he goes to prison again, it's basically a death sentence. So I pray for the best. And world, leaders of his respected countries are basically silent, especially America, for obvious reasons. And yeah, so. But anyways, you were saying like about exit. I think is it because America was always founded on this notion of exit inherently, like it's something in the blood of America. Yeah.
It's always. I don't know. I think it is. I think there's a blood. Maybe epigenetic isn't the right word, but there's something that comes with the old
a spiritual character.
Yeah, there's a spiritual character to it. And I do think it does come with its various forms of Protestantism inside of America as well. I mean, the Rhode Island colony, as we know it, was founded by people that left. Leaving the country. Its name is Providence. I'm going again off of sort of what Jonathan Bowden wrote or talked about in his H.P. Lovecraft talk. But it's the first English settlement is from Roger Williams, and he was, if I recall correctly, he was sort of famously kicked out from where he was originally. Mm-hmm. And its first name is Providence. There's this sort of Christian Calvinist attitude of where we are, but also when we don't agree on things, we leave. And we expect ourselves to separate. I mean, even prior to the War of 1861, the Hartford Convention during the War of 1812, there were a lot of New Englanders that were like, well, let's just get the hell out of here. Let's just have this convention and maybe we secede from the United States as it is.
Oh, and yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it's funny how that kind of conveniently doesn't get talked about by people. But anyways,
basically left.
and the loyalists, the Tories, they went to Canada. So you scratch Canadian, you find a monarchist somewhere.
Yeah. My uncle Mark. Shout out to my uncle Mark. He's a very old stock Canadian. His family actually came here originally after the War of 1812. So
yeah. So yeah. I mean, you have Williams and Hutchinson, William Coddington, John Clark, Philip Sherman, these like religious dissenters who had left from other parts of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, and they move up north, right? They move towards Rhode Island, right? Like there's that stuff there, the Episcopalianism, all these things that are a part of it. I just think that there's a failure or a certain part of the world of America's religion where we just decide to leave or to separate. Yeah. I mean, that was also made very, very clear with respects to, moving further westward, with moving and separating between the North and the South in a lot of respects. So yeah, I mean, like, there are things like that that definitely exist in that respect, right? I think that's a fundamental character. Even me, right? Like, I just don't want to, oh, bye, I just don't want to deal with you. I'm just gonna like leave you alone and go my separate way. That's sort of something I see a lot when it comes to American culture, even today, although it's a little more diluted because I think people are itching to fight or to be more tribalistic, especially as America gets more diverse. But yeah, I mean, it's a core fundamentalist aspect of exit. Why does white flight exist? Because we want to get away from crap. Why do we like being in why is it that conservatives like suburbs are more spirit of the world around us, or to be more separated and more decentralized? And then all of a sudden we've got to see liberals be more ordinated in the cities and all bunched up. I think it exhibits the character of America nowadays. And that's just something that I think is kind of something that you have to deal with in that respect. And I think that Land is right about calling it out. And he doesn't even claim it himself. He cites another book about Anglo-America being built on exit. And I mean, you see that even to this day, right, with some of the more radicalized forms of religion, like Mormonism is an excellent example. Not just because there's the word exit group, but I mean, like, you come up with a new religion and you want to do your own thing, screw it. We'll take our guns and our wagons and we'll get the hell out of here. And that's definitely a big case there too.
And going into the frontier, being confronted by the Comanche and the Lakota, and not the Lakota.
So yeah, I really do think
the indigenous tribes. Yeah.
Yes, I just think that's a big part of it. In that respect there too, right? Like, you just want to like get out of there and do your own thing. There is that sort of individual, if God wills it or it's ordained for me, I'm going to do it type deal there. And I think it does that case. America's built on the Irish. Well, maybe during the War of 61 when we imported a whole fucking bunch of them in here, but
that's an uncharitable take.
That's an uncharitable take. And ahistorical take, but I'm going to leave it be. As I mentioned, we all left the old world to begin with. So true.
Speaking of Italian BF, Irish GF, did you see the Rudy Giuliani quotes?
Oh my gosh, Rudy Giuliani, so God's horniest Italian.
That's saying a lot because he's got
Andrew Cuomo could have learned from Rudy Giuliani, except maybe don't get recorded in a one-party consent state.
Giuliani took the Berlusconi pill. It's funny because Patrick Casey, he said, "Please, guys, be nice. He's just Italian." Like,
I'm not a pervert. I'm just Italian.
Yeah, we are like that, man. Like, it's even when we're being romantic, we're at least a little bit perverted. No, needless to say, my GF got a kick out of that when I sent it to her. Being Irish herself. But no, it's funny though, Giuliani, like, yeah, it's like, don't worry, he's just Italian. This is just how we are. It's I know being Italian, if we word it the right way, we could sort of get past a lot of I don't know. Like, the Anglo men can't do it. Italian men can do it. I don't know. It's God. It's the way God intended it. Okay, that we can be a bit, we can be a bit more perv than the average. You get it. Listen, when you're Italian, they let you do it. Okay, when you're Italian, they let you do it
until you get sued.
Until you get sued, like Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, exactly.
And Rudy Giuliani.
Is he getting sued over this?
This was all recorded stuff that was brought before a court of law. The only reason why we know this exists is because he's being charged.
This is hilarious.
Like, that's why I said, if you're going to act like an Italian, do it in a two-party consent state.
Yeah. At least do it in a purple state. And, at least, New Jersey's no longer a purple state, but,
No, but all of the Democrats there are... hold on. Are the Democrats the ones in New Jersey that are the Italians and the Republicans the Irish?
No, Christie's Italian.
Christie's Italian.
No, Christie's... Wait, who's Italian?
Hold on. What
is Chris Christie? I
thought he was Italian. Governor. Phil Murphy. So yeah, I mean, like, the history.
Oh my God, Chris Christie is Irish, Scottish, Sicilian descent.
Oh, he's a total hybrid. Total hybrid.
That's like total Ellis Islander right there. Oh my
man.
God. Sicilian and Irish.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Oh man. No wonder
Yeah.
he's like that.
So, but like if you go through like the history of like elections inside there, you've got all of these just little ethnic fights between
yeah.
Italians and Irishmen, which I always find entertaining in that respect. Because like you get to see the divide.
Scots are an Ellis Islanders. Gio, take that back. Well, they're not Ellis Islanders, but they're not like the Irish. But are they Ellis Islanders? Probably not.
Maybe some second or third generation waves, but
Yeah,
there were some. I mean, a lot of Scots were at our founding.
yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, I mean the Irish and the Italian part. Yes, Donald Trump gaming. It's the most common mix in the American northern cities. Irish Italian. It's always an Italian man and Irish woman for some reason. I don't know why. It's the way God intended it. Yeah, it's the way God intended it. That's funny though, man. But
there's your solemn providence right there.
Yeah, the real providence is.
It's funny though because it's Rudy Giuliani from like the 2020 Stop the Steal stuff, and he's getting basically Me Too'd for talking about tits in a really aggressive way if you read some of the transcripts. And then you've got Vince McMahon that was recently had his place stormed by the FBI. Big Trump supporter. His wife was on something with the Trump administration. And now you've got the third federal indictment with Trump. So, and I think he's supposed to be getting arraigned later today, or it's supposed to be happening right now. So it has been a week of happenings for. It's funny how everyone says not happening, gang, but then stuff actually happens.
Stuff happens, yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Vince McMahon, that's crazy. I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know what he was. Well, I'm just going to look it up because I can. Vince McMahon.
The rumor was that for SummerSlam they were going to pay The Rock $1 million to whatever to come back and fight this guy they got in developmental that they're pushing. But is The Rock isn't he kind of like a lib, or he says libby type of things?
The Rock, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson's a libtard.
Yeah.
Like, what are we?
Is he a libtard?
Oh, come on. He just plays the politics aren't my thing, but he has to bow down to all the leftist shibboleths.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I don't know
apparently,
if they're gonna bring him back.
But again, this is funny because McMahon is also on a sexual allegation thing. He paid to keep a woman quiet in 2018, a $7.5 million payment to a former wrestler whom McMahon said coerced her into giving him oral before he demoted her and renewed her contract in 2005 after she used another account. Oh, good Lord, this is old stuff. Well, I mean, if it's true, not cool, obviously. I disavow paying and coercing people for sex, but like...
But Vince McMahon, after all the things that he's done, after all the wrestlers he sent into an early grave with his policies...
This is what gets him.
Yeah, this is what gets it. Like, after all he's done to destroy the wrestling industry...
It just feels very politically convenient. That's all.
Yeah, it's incredibly
very politically convenient.
You know what's funny, though, is that he sort of, like, can't let it go. Like, he was going to give H role of the company. And okay, whatever you could say about Triple H, like, because of his reign of terror in the mid-2000s, when he was, like, the champion all the time. When he was booking NXT, he actually was pretty good. He was a pretty good booker. But like Vince just came in there and destroyed it, and like I don't know, like he can't let go. And I seriously question if Vince still has the capacity. But allegedly, I mean, I don't watch WWE anymore, but like apparently they're doing really well. They're doing this really well with the whole they got what's his name, Rey Mysterio's kid to be like the super heel. And they got the one of the who's the one of the brother, oh God, what's his name?
You're gonna know more than I do, buddy. This is your
TikTok, the Viner, what's his name? The celebrity he's arrested. Jake Paul. Is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul? I think Logan Paul is the wrestler.
One of them's one is a wrestler. Isn't one of them like a boxer that's actually been doing really well? Jake Paul.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Supposed to be having a fight soon.
Logan Paul is a really good wrestler, apparently. Like, he's a bit rusty. Like, he's got to get used to doing the bump and grind, but he's pretty good, apparently. So, yeah, they're pushing Rey Mysterio's kid
I
What's
really
his name?
like
Dominic. Yeah.
I really do like that these YouTube internet personalities that have been like, millions of people who know who they are, and they've
Yeah.
like transitioned into being like professional fighters.
Yeah.
I want that trend to continue, like
It's Rand Paul. Imagine Rand Paul as a wrestler.
Rand Paul, the 5'8" senator from Kentucky, just starts taking some like HGH and just bulks the fuck
He
up, and
becomes the
like,
best luchador because they're all short,
and he just walks right up and he punches the senator from California right in his luchador face. Like, it'd be
he
fantastic.
gives him Hurricane Rana.
God, a man could dream. Like, we used to
Yeah.
cane people in the Senate and the House of Representatives and threaten people.
There were
with
multiple
duels.
fist fights in the Senate. Yeah.
Why can't we go back to that? Like, it's all too geriatric, too effeminate.
Have you seen the average politician in America? Have you seen their physique?
Yes, I know. I mean, speaking of average politician in America, did you see that weird? Hi guys, we're just gonna go all over the news today. Sorry, chat, but like there's been a lot of weird shit going on.
Yeah.
Did you see that thread sort of breaking down Senator Mitch McConnell's like blank stare out?
What?
Because so
I
I'm gonna
haven't
find
seen this. Yeah, this. Put this in the
okay.
chat.
I'll try and find the thread, but it was bizarre because he like broke down the video like kind of like frame by frame. Like the woman that touches him on the hand apparently had something on like her fingers to touch him and cause him to like blank out for like the length of time that he did, and now they're all talking about health and things.
Oh yes, I did hear this. Yes, I saw
and like
this.
so you can see things being passed around. Then he touches his skin, and I mean, like look at other pictures of his hand where it's all like bloody and bruised and fucked up. And I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if like these people are being corralled and stuff like that. I mean, like Senator Dianne Feinstein, 90 years old. In a wheelchair.
I never laughed. Yeah.
I never laughed. I remember when Harvey Milk was still in office. What a great guy. Like that sort of stuff. Although that sounds way too much like Jimmy Stewart. But
oh, hey, didn't Harvey Milk get canceled for going with questionable age young man?
Like every other, anyways.
Never
you're
mind.
making me. The woke are more correct than the mainstream. Why, yes, they do go after underage. I wonder why they say they're going after your children.
But listen, he's a hero of American politics now.
I know there's a ship in the United States Navy named after his ass. It's a terrifying
ship. Yeah, they have a ship.
Oh God,
USS Harvey Milk.
What a nightmare.
It's fitting for the Navy, I guess.
It is fitting in the Navy, but very fitting. But
oh God, he was in California, right? Harvey Milk was California.
Yeah, so was Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah, well, Feinstein was like the queen of California. Yeah,
she was for the longest time. There's like 5 families that run California.
9 families.
9 families, but like there is a hereditary oligarchy that runs California. Newsom's just one of the families, and so one of the things that's really interesting is that. Dianne Feinstein's 90. I've never been, and they just tell her like shut up and vote yes on this. And apparently her daughter has the power of attorney over a sitting U.S. senator.
Oh
what a terrifying
How is that
notion.
legal in America?
Fuck if I know, man. I don't live in a legitimate government. I live in a weird occupied nation state.
You know what
ran
they
by,
do in Canada?
Bright blue-haired bureaucracies. Yeah,
you know what they do in They just shuffle them off to the Senate, and they have no power. Our Senate has no power. It's all a bunch of old geriatrics.
I thought they just killed them. Now that it got made or whatever.
They do that too. No, the Senate is
Dianne Feinstein. Come here. We're gonna go to a trip to Canada. Like
you're gonna go to see Dr. Rajasha.
You're gonna see Rajasha Kevorkian. He's gonna take good care of you.
Oh, God. Look at this. The USS Harvey Milk's full of young seamen. Oh my God. But no, in Canada they just shuffle them off to the Senate. The Senate is like almost zero power. The Senate's basically just a review board, more or less.
Canada doesn't have the death penalty, but Canada does let you want to off yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, what's funny is that recently they actually lowered the criminal, not the criminal status, the level of security for Paul Bernardo. And they're going to put him in a medium security prison. Can you believe that? I mean, hey, you know what? You know what I think? Here's a controversial take for all you Leafs. You know what I think? Just let Paul Bernardo go. You know why? Let Paul Bernardo go? Because Carla Homolka is totally scot-free, right? She has a family and she lives in rural Quebec. And it's like, you know what? So just let Paul Bernardo go. It's like really just it's such a mockery. Sorry, I get hot under the collar, Prude, because the whole Ken and Barbie stuff happened. Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka happened very, very close to where I live. And it really just steams me under the collar that she did her little bit for 4 years in jail. And this, attorney withheld the snuff video with her sister. And now she gets to go scot-free. I mean, she's been living free for like 20 years now. So, so you know what? So they want to lower Paul Bernardo's prison status to put him in a medium, not a medium, minimum security, well, a less security prison. So just let him go. I mean, hey, you know what? Just let him go. Because, hey, you let Carla Homolka go. So, Prude, that's the way it is in Canada. In Canada, okay, Prude, let me run the scenario by you. Say right now, what's your carry piece? Is it a 6 hour, you said?
I carry, well, it depends where I go, but I mean, like, my main concealed carry weapon is a Taurus 380.
That's a good choice.
I mean, it's just a small, like,
yeah,
get the hell out of there and get out of there kind of gun. I should change that, but yeah.
Now say someone breaks into your house at night.
Oh, what a great day for me.
Exactly, right? Now in Canada, if I were to do the same,
my right to self-defense.
yeah. In Canada, if I were to redact someone who's robbing my house, now I would go to jail in Ontario. If I create a quote unquote greater level of harm than what is necessary, right? This is this country we live in Canada, right? Oh, by the way, I can't buy handguns anymore because of Trudeau. So that's the way that's the way it is in Canada. So yeah, that's sorry, Prude. I'm sorry to black pill. Sorry to just spew these black pills. But you know what? I say let Paul Bernardo go because the justice system is such a mockery especially when it came to that case of the, it's incredible. The fact that Carla Homolka could be totally free and have 3 children. And she, by the way, when she left prison, they let her live in the Dominican Republic for like 12 years. So yeah, Carla Homolka is just an normie now. And that's the way it is, dude. Yeah. Yeah. She, and by the way, that video.
So when are we getting you out of Canada?
No, maybe one day, who knows? But that video conclusively proved the lie that the defendant, the defense party said that she was just a poor abused woman that was going along with Paul Bernardo. That video proved that she was an active participant in the horrendous things that I can't describe on YouTube with her sister Tammy, and Paul, like what she and Paul Bernardo did to her kid sister. Stuff I can't mention on YouTube. So that case was a total travesty. And so you know what? If you're gonna downgrade Paul Bernardo's security status, then what's the point? Just let him go. Let him do the day thing. Who cares? Because it's a total mockery, anyways. So that's yeah. Man, that was a huge megaton black pill. But that black pill was floating all the way down the Welland Canal. But anyways, what are we talking about, Prude?
Trump's been indicted.
Oh yes, the Trump indictment. Yes. Did you have any thoughts about Has before we move on? What do you think is going to happen in South Africa? Can this guy, is he got a chance of winning in South Africa? The EFF,
like the EFF and the
African National Congress
and the it's all a coalition. Like,
God.
I'm not really surprised. Do we have images of the arraignment yet? Sorry, this is what I'm looking for. We haven't gotten the arraignment yet. What a shame. I was hoping for a good picture. But it's supposed to happen soon, apparently. He's expected to plead not guilty and all that jazz. As for the Haas thing, like if you're a Boer or a white guy in South Africa,
just move to Orania. Move to Orania.
Yeah, move to Orania. And I mean, other South Africans are calling for this. Like, you're better off in a place of concentration where you have power.
Move to Cape Town or Orania. That's
yeah. And
I mean, you're way better as go ahead.
Power in numbers is all I can recommend.
Yeah.
And I know it's a bitch to get firearms over there and licensing. It's a disaster, but you've got to do what you can to defend yourself.
And in Orania, they have private security companies that are also kind of like I can easily predict that when things get worse, I mean, to say that things are going to get worse in South Africa is inevitability. I predict that there's going to be like a restoration of paramilitary groups, probably as protection agencies in places like Cape Town and Anania. I hope for the best. I mean, even like not even just for the Afrikaners. I mean, people in South Africa in general, even black or white or British or whoever. I mean, things are going to get really bad. Things are already really bad, and I think that the fomenting of racial hatred is not good, to say the least. And I think that, I mean, these people, the government has a problem keeping the lights on. I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
gotten to a point where, like, oh, by the way, you've gotten rolling blackouts as a suggestion for like climate issues here in America and in California. So it's just like
Yeah.
we're on that South African model. It's fantastic,
And the Russians are having to give them energy subsidies in South Africa now. So energy exports on the cheap. So it's bad, man. It's bad. And what's also bad, let's move on to the next bad news. What is this? Is this in Georgia, this arraignment of Trump?
No, it's in DC.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a Georgia connection here.
There's a Georgia case. Well, there's supposed to be a Georgia case. I don't know if that's a federal one or that might be a state thing. But anyways, so this is I'm reading from CNN. Former President Donald Trump has arrived at the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. to make his initial appearance in federal court after being indicted by special counsel Jack Smith's investigation with respects to 2020 and January 6th. The 4 counts, one of the laws that he's being charged with is the exact same stuff that Doug Mackey was charged with. So in 1866 law to stop, judicial or intimidation to stop people from voting. That's why you have a charge about him being against rights, conspiracy against rights. Anyways, the hearing for today's arraignment hearing is by Judge Mohila Upahayaya, an Indian judge. There's not a single judge that's overseeing any of his cases that's of American or European descent. All foreigners or foreign origin born that have a bone to pick with him. So he's expected to plead not guilty. The 4 counts are conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. And this will also be to approve bail conditions that will allow him to be released from federal custody up until trial. So we'll see what happens later today. I wonder if they're going to keep his ass in jail with no bail conditions. I guess we'll see, because he is running for office. We'll find out. But
man,
this is what you're dealing with. This is my country. This is my country. Where elections, man. What are they good for? 2020 was probably the last election. It was.
They're charging him the same that Ricky Vaughn got. So I'm assuming that they think that he interfered with the election because of like, you know what I mean? Like, why? Because he like doubted it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand.
Yeah, because he doubted it, because he was against.
It?
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to let me go read the whole arraignment documents.
Because I was confused in this issue, so maybe
Jack Smith,
you explain. Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. He says that he claims that January 6th was fueled by lies. I'm just trying to find like the Jack Smith documents. That way I can just read them. But federal criminal indictment. See if I can find the docs. But yeah, it's a 45-page indictment that charges Trump with conspiring to defraud by preventing the U.S. Congress from certifying Democrat Joe Biden's victory and to deprive voters of their right to a fair election. Oh my God. Wow. Then he claims that Trump made fraud claims he knew to be untrue, pressured state and federal officials, including Vice President Mike Pence, to alter the results, and finally incited a violent assault, despite there being so many feds. Despite the growing array of legal troubles, he's still the front runner for the election. But yeah, this is also,
So this is basically just like, you can't question the election, but only this election though. You
Yeah,
can
only this
question like in
election. Although YouTube
2004.
allows me to question this
Yeah.
election now. Also, they're going after the state electors, and there's also been in Michigan the 12 boomers that have been arrested, literal baby boomers. Their ages are known for being alternate state electors that were willing to go forward and say, "Hey, there was some phony shit that went on," and we know that there was. Every like post electoral report knows that there were anomalies. Everyone knew this come election night. But this is the way that I live. I live in a banana republic.
There was this tweet that Nightmare Vision, he was dunking on this irony leftist. That tweet from Ted, like you mentioned it, right? Like an irony leftist that says gay jokes. I've never a Democrat that says gay jokes. I don't know what to think of this. This like absolute like soy faced like balding Norwood, what's his name, I forget, I don't even want to say his name, but he's some journalist like tweeting out the transcripts of generals like Milley calling all of the Trump supporters Austrian painters, and that they're going to honor the Constitution, and all of these leftoids. And I even saw that piece of Mecha Bernald even saying like, this is based, Milley is based, and they're all like doing this like appropriation of right-wing memes where they're like, oh, the generals and all the glow in the darks that basically went after Trump, like that's based, and that's, oh my god, like these people are doing this like weird psychodrama of power. The tweet I'm referring to, right, Prude?
Yeah.
Like it's basically the transcript of how these generals and these politicians are like, these people are Austrian painter fans, and they're we're gonna defend the Constitution. And so there was a point where basically Milley, Pelosi, and Mike Pence ran the government during the election.
Really after J6. I mean, he didn't have any control of the government. I mean, the real question is like, I don't think he had control over the government any time after the election took place.
But these leftists, don't they realize, like, of course they don't. It's not really hypocrisy. That's what they want. Like, they don't realize the absolute, like, the sort of hair-raising state of America. Because of course they're winning. They don't care. They don't care that you're never going to have a legitimate, government or voting or whatever. Like, they don't really care about that. It's incredible. They think that Trump is this unique aberration, the state of exception that must be met with. It's sort of like, when George Bush, I mean, I don't know, on this podcast we always go back to Bush, because we're millennials. It goes.
Gee, I wonder why.
I wonder why we always go back to the Bush era, but nobody talks about the Bush era. That's why. Remember when Bush said, in order to secure freedom, we have to suspend freedom, or no, in order to save democracy, we have to suspend democracy. Like, if ever there's been a Schmittian utterance that have ever come from an American president, it's that one. I mean, besides Trump saying stand back and stand by, but that was pretty revealing. In order to save the American Constitution, we have to suspend the American Constitution. And really, you know what? And you know what? I mean, the Constitution.
I don't think he actually said that. It may have been a critique against him.
No, I think Bush actually said that. In order to save democracy, we have to suspend democracy or freedom, I think.
Let's look for it.
Yeah. Bush.
Yeah. Because I do not recall Bush saying that.
He said something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I also famously remember the we have to pass the bill to see what's in it with respects to the Affordable
Oh yeah,
Care Act.
Obama. Yeah. No, notice how nobody talks about do you notice that like the Obama administration's kind of been like memory hold?
It kind of, I mean, it really has been. It's something that I just kind of find very funny that because everyone knew, I think it has a large respect that everyone knew it was bullshit.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, does anyone really care, right? That we had our weird racial kumbaya moment where white guilt dropped faster than the stock market because Barack Obama got elected, and then all of a sudden everything got worse. Yeah, of course, you want to memory hole it, and we really shouldn't. We really should do maybe this a retrospective of the Obama years, because
we should. Yeah,
I mean, that was a really bad presidency.
Yeah.
A really bad presidency. And I mean, like, really his second term is the really sort of the genesis for all this sort of stuff that we see. I mean, like, if I had a son, it'd be that sort of stuff.
Saint
It'd be
Skittles.
Trayvon, Saint Skittles. It'd be, plus the Ferguson stuff with Michael Brown. And this is why it's so...
the Yenna 6. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah, that too.
People forget that. Al Sharpton. Yeah.
And so you got all of this... all these like domestic disasters. Those people that cling to their guns and their religion. You don't need them. Like all these things.
Oh, the clock. Oh my God, the clock. Ahmed's clock. Thank you, Eric.
Ahmed's clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The beer summit.
Getting fucking Sotomayor into the Supreme Court.
Oh,
fundamentally
God, strong Latina woman.
Yeah, strong Latina woman.
Oh my God. But by the way,
our first transgender first lady.
Oh yeah.
God bless. So many chefs and White House personnel have died to keep this open secret safe.
Barry Soetoro.
Joan Rivers warned us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a linebacker back plate if I've ever seen one on a woman. Legend. But before we go on,
Mike got a torn ACL, couldn't play pro football. Decided law school would be a better option.
Those AI images of Michelle Obama pregnant, the AI couldn't even get it done,
No, because they're all like modern day Michelle Obama, not young Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
And yeah. Plus plus the birtherism stuff. Good God,
Yeah.
What a weird
see,
time.
Trump. Nobody remembers that about Trump. Oh, the birth
It wasn't
certificate.
even him that started it.
Yeah, it was Rush Limbaugh, right?
I think it was Rush, but also Hillary Clinton played a large role initially.
Oh yeah, that's right. Even Alex Jones, I remember, had this like photo editor guy do like saying like the government photoshopped the image of Obama's birth certificate. I don't know if it's true or not.
And the person who helped release it suddenly died in a plane crash right afterwards, huh?
Raises
some interesting questions. Interesting.
Michael Lau, Big Mike Robinson. Yeah. Oh my God, Big Mike Robinson. But before, let's save our reactionary credentials here. I'm not saying that like a boomer hypocrisy charge about like Boomer Con, these people are hypocrites, they're suspending democracy. Because let's face it, I mean, this is all just smoke and mirrors anyways. This is, if anything, this whole little blurb by Millie and the rest of them, it's just revealing what people that are smart enough to know what's going on pretty much can sense about the way politics works in the Washington machine. And so in a way, like, you got to realize, like, the left, they're not hypocrites, okay? They don't believe, like, there's no such thing as hypocrisy. It is really just a form of power knowledge that they've employed. Trump is a unique aberration, and therefore we must, quote unquote, suspend our principles that we don't even have to begin with because they're a lie. To like go after this like uniquely evil fascistic aberration within American politics, right? So it's like, this is how it works. And so all these leftoids in this, if you look up this, I believe the guy's name Mike Price. I believe that's the journalist or whoever he is. If you go to this tweet that's going viral, all these like leftists praising it and saying Millie is based, and you have these like leftoids with that like chibi cartoon with a bisexual lighting type of avatar saying like, oh my God, isn't it amazing that Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence and General Milley, that they secured the Constitution from Trump? Like this is just if anything, it is a purposeful weaponization of a particular strain of American mythology in terms of constitutionalism, in terms of post-civil rights regime America, in terms of how Trump basically is a manifestation of a, let's call it, a more spiritualized, like subsonic, unconscious form of Americana that Trump represents aesthetically. That he is being negated by another aestheticized, deeply unconscious form of Americana, in a way. So I think that, I mean, and I think like Caldwell talks about this, but I think this also plays out aesthetically, that these like generals with their medals and they're saving the republic from an evil fascist, like that's very much like, this is like, you know what libtards, what they watch, like especially like older boomer libs, they watch daytime television, or they watch those like spy dramas, where it's like a CIA agent has to go against an evil racist president. Even like the Blacklist had this. The Blacklist had an episode of a Big Spence's MPI conference in Washington where they had like, people with the flip hair that they're like white nationalists and
and it's like that with that television show, the FBI or whatever, where it's got a clearly Middle Eastern, Arabic, FBI agent, I think some white woman, and a diverse cast of the FBI office, and they had their own stand-in for Richard Spencer and the MPI, and he's just nothing wrong. And I'm looking at it and I'm laughing. I can't help but laugh because it's just like, this is what gets programmed in, because it's not you or me, right? The online people. It's for Gen Xers and non-media or non-tuned in people on
non-media
the
literate,
the non-overly online types,
Yeah.
And it's just like, what does that tell my Trump voting parents that watch this shit? Oh, that the views of of one of their adult children is extremist according to this media presentation of the FBI, when everything that show is indicating to me is that white people are systematically targeted by an ethnically diverse Federal Bureau of Investigation. Gee, what a surprise!
Yeah, that's like that's kind of like a Devin Stack type of inversion of media, like to analyze media from that lens.
But that's the case. Yeah. That's the case. Like, that's the same thing with like all those Law and Order shows.
It's like Barbie.
You'd really think that. Like Law and Order is a great example. All the Law and Order shows. You'd really think that white people are the most dangerous fucking criminals and rapists in New York City when they're not. And it's just like, but no, according to the Law and Order cast and according to all these like progressive writers,
did you see that
the only acceptable target is people that look like me?
Did you see that clip of that medical drama where the guy was doing like an incel drive-by? And he's like,
"Oh my god,
feminoid I don't want a feminoid doctor." It was so, and it's the only one who was strong enough to like kick the gun away from him when he crashed the car and call the cops was like a black teenage girl.
Yeah, teenage girl.
And like the woman, there's a woman police
officer.
But
people eat that shit up. They eat that shit up.
Yeah,
that's my problem. Is that they eat the shit up, and that predisposes people's. I'm not saying anything new here. I'm just frustrated, and I'm trying not to Fed post.
I don't want a feminoid doctor. I gotta give them credit, the show writers, or I mean, whoever wrote the show.
Yeah, someone tried to do some research there, I guess.
Whatever scab writer they got because of the writers' strike.
Whatever non-unionized leftoid that was looking for a cheap buck.
They probably didn't even pay.
Yeah, probably not. He did it for free. It for free because like it's the same thing with like Richard Spencer's tweet about the case for crucifying Trump. And I had said in the chat the other day, I said, he wouldn't even pay the 30 pieces of silver to crucify Christ. He'd do it for the sardonic pleasure of crucifying him. Yeah. And then a certain mutual friend of ours was like, no, he'd pay 30 pieces just for the pleasure of it. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably true.
That's probably true. Do you think Trump knows who Richard Spencer is?
Maybe. Peripherally, maybe. It doesn't matter. There are people inside Trump's camp who know who Richard Spencer is. And it's just
true.
Woe to the man who thought he could have his own story and then try and claw his way back into the polite, waspy, rich upper old money that he had.
Only the old money are libs now.
Yeah, and so he has to become a lib. And I mean, that's sort of the long-running case with, I think, a lot of these sort of like old alt-right 1.0 characters. Because I mean, like, you read Archaeofuturism, for instance, and like you can only get that from two places: a leftist book publisher and Arctos.
Yeah.
And even now he calls himself a leftist. It's just sort of an interesting, weird. It's sort of a weird arc where like certain characters that have been around for a long time, like the long running circles, they either just become
Guillermo Fea, they
just become leftoids. They call themselves leftists.
What's funny is that Grimes had that tweet where she's like, I want to make a critique of Bronze Age mindset from a woman.
The Bene Gesserit mindset. I kind of want her to. I want her to write it. I want her to write it because apparently she's also going to be in Los Angeles this month to debate.
She's debating
Luis Perry and someone else
Annika
about
Chyan.
this. Annika. Oh boy, what an interesting debate! What an interesting debate duo.
The quote tweets were so credible. Like, I wouldn't pay to see. Like, I would pay not to see this. Someone said.
I only noticed it because I follow Peachy Keenan, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go," and I was just like,
"You know who's host? You know who's the moderator?
Who's the moderator?
Barry Weiss."
Oh God,
I'm not joking. It's Barry Weiss.
End me now.
Yeah.
End. God, send the missiles. Do it now.
I can't. Yeah. It's how is
the only
Anna,
person
though,
I want to see debate this stuff is Helen Andrews.
Yeah,
because Helen Andrews has that Teutonic
she's vicious, man.
needle. What was her maiden name? Something like Needlemeyer. Autism that just comes with debating these things. And
did you ever see that C-SPAN clip back in like the two? Yeah, with her ex.
With her ex, just
she wanted me to dominate her.
Like, dude, what the fuck?
She was like systematically destroying his masculinity.
Yeah, just live on C-SPAN for all to watch. It is arguably the most awkward clip of C-SPAN I've seen in my life, besides the call-in show where like the two hosts are like, "Ah, fuck, it's mom," calling on the line, chastising.
That
but like it is the most awkward clip of C-SPAN that has gotten probably more views than most of those kind of weird book talk and panel shows.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a wild ride.
Frenzy, she probably does she probably has female autism.
Yeah.
Is she? Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, like, I've seen her debate immigration, and I mean, I love
Aspie girls.
She is the best way that you can be optically pushing things further right wing. Because I mean, she's way more based in person than you probably will see on her tweets, and I do appreciate that. In the same way,
mutuals with me though. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm still mutuals with her, but you know. C'est la vie. It's just it's a weird world that we live in, and you've got the whole Trump thing now.
But I think like we're joking a little bit.
We're all over the place, but yeah,
we're all over the place. But one thing I do want to make it like absolutely clear, like absolutely like this is of life or death sort of thing, is that I think because of the meme culture and because of the way the news cycle is structured, when I sit back and I contemplate these Trump indictments over similar things that they pegged Ricky Vaughn with, I don't think people realize how bad this is, how absolutely insane and how absolutely beyond the pale, and actually how terrifying this is. That the American government, the most powerful government in the world, still, I mean, well, we'll see what happens. The most powerful democracy, quote unquote, in the world, the experiment, the Enlightenment experiment of a nation, that the government system will never work the way that it was laid out to work ever again, unless something dramatic happens in America. I think that, and I'm not an American, but it doesn't matter because Canada is like right up there with us, right? With them, right? What's happening now to Trump, whatever you feel about Trump, that he was a failure or he panders to certain elements that he shouldn't or whatever. This is terrifying. This is absolutely, I fear for the future of America. And you know why I fear? Because Canada will be right down the drain with America when whatever happens. So the reason I'm speaking as an American, like almost like I'm an American citizen, is because you know what? There is no future where Canada will not be involved with America, or well, rather, America won't be involved with Canada. And but besides that, I think that this is terrifying. I mean, I hope that Trump beats this. Obviously, I think that in some ways, a worst case scenario would be that if they let him run, he becomes the nominee, because he will become the nominee. He probably won't become president, but if they do this after, if they try to screw him over after, I think that would be worse actually if they just nail him now and they just don't let him run for the midterms. The primaries. What do they call it? Midterms?
I mean, there's the primary election for the Republican nomination. Then there's the general.
Yes, primaries. Sorry, yeah, primaries. Yeah,
Only time will tell. We haven't heard. I mean, he's got to plead not guilty and such, and then
obviously.
we'll see if he gets let out on any kind of bail condition or something like that. But I
But you
mean,
know the serious of this, Prude. Like this is
this is
incredible.
the arrest of a former president of the United States, which has never happened in this nation's history. We've never jailed a former president.
Nope.
I mean, even when Nixon left and all of the, again, that's another form of a coup against him. Nixon did
Yes.
nothing wrong.
Yes.
Even then, right? That he was pardoned afterwards and said, "Let's
Mhm.
just get it over with. We're done." Like,
Oh, did Ford pardon him?
Ford did pardon him.
Oh, well, that was I mean, Ford wasn't great, but that was pretty good of him.
But yeah, Ford pardoned him and just said, let's move on. We got shit to do. We have a country to run. Let's move on. Whereas this is a clear, like they've said it days after the election. Google, every Democratic institution, ADL, SPLC, all of them said this man can never be in the White House again. Because what was 2016 other than, and this is where the woke are more correct than the mainstream, that black CNN commentator, Van Jones or whatever, he just said it was a white lash. Yeah, it was.
Holy it was shit. A white, that Van Jones would say that.
But he was right. But he was right. Yeah. It was a white lash. What did he run on? Reindustrialize the country, close the borders, deport millions. That's what he ran on.
Yeah.
And sorry, that message still resonates to a lot of people, to a point where even fucking Glenn Beck's The Blaze is like, well, not only is like immigration restriction important, but you also have to talk about the millions of people you have to deport that are already in here. Yeah. That rhetoric is unimaginable. And like, so yeah, like as the
like
as the
at least the criminals, is that such a bad take? Deporting criminals, is that bad? Like
it should be more than just criminals. But
no, of course it should be more than just criminals. But still, like,
but yeah, like. Why isn't Bukele someone I wouldn't want to be emulating? Like, oh man, you're telling me that maybe like it's only 5,000 criminals that cause all the problems in Los Angeles. If we were to like militarize and round them up and put them in prison,
or do other things, yeah, it's
like
saying specifics.
I don't know. El Salvador's got a good answer for that, but like they're terrified of that, and rightfully so, because they have screwed over, demoralized, and systematically discriminated against them for over 60 years, and that's the case of how it is.
Is it true that there's 5,000 what they call alpha criminals in California doing most?
I'm sure that there is. I don't know what that's from, but I'm gonna. Sounds like bullshit, but I believe it. Like I don't know what the actual stat is, but like it is serious, right? Like we've never gotten to this point before. They're not just going after Trump. I think Trump is kind of right when he says, I'm just in the way. Yes, because they went after those baby boomers. Yeah. They have arrested street preachers,
Oh, they've gone after Trump's lawyer?
No, I mean street preachers. I don't know who Trump's lawyer is. I'm sure they will go after Trump's lawyer.
They did. Conan actually did a space with the guy. He was a top lawyer that worked under Clarence Thomas. They went after him too in California.
Because he was away. Yeah, they do want to disbar him. That's true. Yeah. So you've got that too. And so yeah, like once Trump's gone, they're going to go after the regular folk. And that's just the world that you and I are going to be living in now, where the politicization and the absolute rejection of anything white, conservative, remotely immigration restrictionist, anti-diversity, you'll be arrested next. And so it's coming whether you know it or not. But this is the world that I live in. And it is very serious. And it's not something to laugh at or be skeptical of. But this is how it is. This is how it is now. And that's the world that I live in. And I understand why there are some that are like, yeah, maybe being an expat wouldn't be so bad. But I'm screwed no matter what, because I'm permanently chained to a medical establishment that will probably kill me eventually. So that's just the world that we live in. And I think that people should be very cognizant of the fact that things will get very worse, lest an act of God comes in and tries and saves us. But who knows?
Well, I mean, I know that my good friends at the War Report talk about this, the expat thing, because GSP is a leaf like I am, lives in Tirana, and Constantine is American. And he said, I contemplated the expat thing, but really, realistically, I mentioned that GSP was on my podcast. I released episode yesterday. But they said, like, realistically, where are you going to go? Unless you're willing to, like, go to China or go to somewhere in the global south or go to Russia, which is almost near impossible nowadays. Um, or like if you have some sort of like third worldist out, like hold out in South America, even still South America is a poor bet.
Or if you married a foreigner.
Or if you married a foreigner, yes. I mean, it's like it's impossible. Where are you going to go? Because the empire will get to you eventually. And to leave also presents a number of moral quandaries. Because even still, like I know like people mentioned in the chat Gonzalo's situation, how he was an idiot or whatever. And yes, I mean, he probably shouldn't have released those videos or whatnot. But I mean, his bet was to go to Hungary because Hungary is the only EU nation that doesn't fully cooperate with the regime. Because apparently, even though the front line is like 1,000 miles or whatever, you can't cross the front line from Ukraine into Russia, or you can't go to Russia. It's not as easy as people think. Just go to the front line and go to the nearest Russian patrol and say that, hey, I'm with you guys. Like you know what I mean? So Poland would just give him up, especially Poland. They would actually find pleasure in giving him up. But the point being is that yes, a lot of people are contemplating the expat thing, but I don't think it's worth it. I think probably it would be more heroic to just stand and create meaningful political change on the local and state levels in America. And, I mean, we give him a lot of flack, right? DeSantis. By the way, DV Boy blocked me. I couldn't believe it. He broke mutuals and blocked me for being a DeSantoid. But the DeSantis model is like, that could work if he didn't run for president, of having rival red states that have populations that are fed up with the federal government, that are willing to flout rules and willing to protect political asylum seekers within America. And that is a very terrifying statement, by the way. That's a very terrifying phrase, that there is a political asylum seekers from the USG in America. That's terrifying, but it's the reality. It's the reality of it. I think if you leave inner cities because of the crime, that is also being a form of a political refugee, because politicians in these blue state cities have failed you, right? And even here in Canada, Toronto is getting worse every single day. Yeah, exactly. Godfather Gio, never go against a mutual. It's true. I've very rarely I've had to block mutuals, but the point being is that, like, Prude, you comment on this, being an American, the notion that you are a political asylum seeker within America as an American citizen, that's terrifying, right?
I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
To what extent? I mean, it will depend. And I mean, like, we haven't gotten to a point where it's nationalists, getting jailed or whatever, like in the UK that's happened, I think, with Sven Longshanks and stuff like that. He's in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
patriotic alternative guys have been jailed, I think.
Oh yeah, and they've been debanked and everything like that. Like, that's happened.
Nigel Farage.
Yeah. And I know AA's talked about that in depth, and so have others across the pond. But like, it hasn't gotten that bad yet because there is that sort of federal broken in system. But like, it'll come eventually. Because I mean, again, like, if you can find a way to finagle it into a civil rights case, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And they'll go after you for that in the same way that anywhere in the country they can organize collectively, and you will have a bunch of dysgenic troons with assault rifles ready to defend a drag queen story hour, even in red states like Idaho.
Yeah.
So like, you have to be aware of the fact, and people were mocking Tim Pool for saying you were in a civil war. No, you are in one. It's cold right now. Where legal and political persecution comes about. Like, that's just sort of the nature of the case of how it goes. And so I don't know what else to say other than the fact, that the idea of having political asylum and fleeing other places is true. I mean, it's that sort of evergreen take about, like, really America and making money in the grind is to escape the consequences of the Civil Rights Act.
James Kirkpatrick.
Yeah. I mean, that tweet is correct. I don't care if he is a more self-avowed ethno-nationalist.
nationalist,
That
yeah.
I don't care. Like, that take is accurate. People
It
do want
is.
to escape crime and to escape a legal system that punishes you for wanting to own a home and to raise children that happen to look like you. Like, sorry.
It's only a matter of time before one of these, like, you know, hideous, like, armored out, like, you know, Antifa people that are protecting, quote unquote, protecting the drag time story hours. It's only a matter of time till they unleash on one of the chuds. And who do you think's going to go to jail in that case? The chud protesters, or
There will never be a Kyle Rittenhouse case again.
No, never.
That will not happen anytime soon.
Not even a red state. Not even a red state.
No, because they're out for blood.
Yeah. No, but if you, like, I think it's really a failure of the GOP. I mean, really the GOP, I mean, this is the hugest failure ever. The Republicans, I mean, if they wanted to, they could clear out these, like, legal administrations in, like, largely red state cities. They could basically rig things to have, like, more conservative judges and persecutors, but they don't realize that
there's no will to power.
No, exactly. No matter how red a state is, if its legal system in the big cities are being controlled to the point where left activists could essentially just redact chuds with no consequences, what's the point of voting Republican in those states? What's the point if your state is red? If the major centers of those red states are being ceded to leftoid legal apparatuses? I mean, listen, I don't know if people are being entertained by this. We're usually, I promise next week we'll probably go back to focusing on arts and culture, but it needs to be said because it's really bad. It's really, and the people that I blame, the people that should be politically aware, the people that should fight tooth and nail as a minoritarian party is the Republicans, is the GOP. They should know this. They should know what they're up against. But you have politicians in the GOP who go with it, who go along with it. They don't realize that their own constituents, they're the ones that are being persecuted. They're the ones that have to suffer from the crime and the violent leftist political activism.
And then there's a large portion that do know and don't give a shit.
Exactly.
And that's most of them. That's most of them.
Next year, Prude, I guarantee you there will be political clashes. There will be riots. I hope not. I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction because, you know, with predictions, right?
I mean, there will be. I mean, there will be violence. I don't know if you'll get.
There will be trans people with Bushmasters.
I don't know if you'll have another summer of Floyd. It's too early to predict that, I think.
Yeah, it's too early. Yeah.
I don't know if that'll come, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, everything is kind of pieces are falling together to ensure that any sort of tantamount legal or quote unquote legitimate political resistance is being snuffed out by the state.
Yeah. I mean, in 2020, there were Trump supporters who were assaulted at rallies.
Like, now is the time above all else to know your neighbor, know your connections, and to have a network that you can rely on. And I mean, that's kind of how it works, is that if you don't have people that you can go to or talk to or have that, then yeah, things will end very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, again, and this is why, like, there's been such an emphasis, and this goes back to the video I made earlier today, because there is no physical space. There's no real space on the online. The parasociality of it is arguably one of the biggest detriments, because it keeps people parasocially attached to the bread and circuses of these characters and whatnot. You know, like, I don't know anything about certain characters on the internet and whatnot, but you think about that Mr. Beast character, and all of a sudden, like, you know, Chris Tyson left his wife and child.
Mr. Beast?
Yeah. Whatever.
Funny meme,
maybe he's one of them, but who knows? But, like, you know, he trooned out, and his son asks, "Where's Dad?" Like, that's a huge, you know, people are parasocially addicted to that, and they have to, like, bow down and not, you know, and not.
That's a sowing of iniquity. That's biblical right there.
Yeah, and you know, they have to bow down, and they have to, like, contort themselves to believe, yeah, that's a woman, all right. This married 27-year-old man with a son and a wife, that's a woman, all right. And he feels liberated after 6 weeks. It's the same thing with, like, the Wachowskis. You get exposed to the shit, and they turn into things. This is why real life stuff, you know, working in a way that, hey, if something were to happen to you, we can back you up. I mean, that's why, again, I'm endorsed and invested in New Founding for what they do. I am happy to see that, when Mr. George Bagby was unceremoniously let go from his job because of some other fallout stuff, and why Rod Dreher will rot in hell, that we raised over $6,000 for him. So,
Now,
I'm all
yeah.
for making those networks physically tangible, because you're going to need them one day. You will.
What happened to George Bagby? He got fired?
He was unceremoniously let go. His contract was not renewed from a classical Christian school that he was teaching at in Louisiana, that was tangentially related to a doxing affair led by another individual, that Rod Dreher had played a role in doxing.
Oh boy, you mean to tell me even a Christian school will let you go? Like, see, this is
how bad
insanity.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not like in Canada where like Catholic schools have to bend the knee to the greater, education system, to the government. I mean, a private Christian school should be based, no? Like it's.
Well, but if you're still a liberal at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen.
Rod Dreher, like, listen, I'm not a fan of that Hochman guy, right?
Nate Hochman or whatever.
Nate Hochman.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but yeah.
I did that stream with him. I thought he was kind of like, I don't know. I was more of a,
well, he was the only one associated with the National Review who wasn't boring or a joke.
Yeah. But I mean, I obviously supported my friend Alex Kashuta when we did that debate on Follow the Rules, but like that thread by Rod Dreher, like, I'm not going to Fed post, but that just really upset me. That really like shows that people like this, why do you need left activists? Why do you need the Ben Collins and the
with friends like these who needs enemies?
Yeah, exactly. Why do you need the Anita Sarkeesians of the world when you have Rod Dreher?
The real garbage humans were allegedly on this camp all along.
Yeah, it's true. But it's incredible. Like a private Christian school kicking out George Bagby. By the way, did he find another teaching job? Or?
No. I mean, he works full time as a driver for Uber and Lyft right now.
Oh God.
We're working with New Founding to help find him a different line of work, and as things.
Dreher outed the principal apparently. This is what Bengal said.
Yeah, that's what happened, and he knew, and the headmaster hired him. That's a big reason why he kind of was in the crosshairs. But yeah, and I mean, also there's in my area there might be a private school that's being built for the large Orthodox community. George Bagby is Eastern Orthodox, and so like we might be able to get him a teaching job there. But it's a mess. And like these do affect real people. They do. I can't. We were just hearing words about potential waves of attacks coming in and people getting doxxed and whatnot. And like, you have to be prepared. You have to know who you can rely on. Not anyone. I'm not referring to that stuff because that stuff's not public yet. But I mean, just in general, I mean, like, look at what the hell Ryan's gone through. Turnip has gone through a hell of a whole lot of stuff, and he's a publicly facing individual.
Yeah.
And so, and you had Antifa going after him, and you had the people trying to dox his associates and things like that. Like this is the world you live in. And I hate the fact that this, I mean, we try and make this show sort of a humorous sort of escape from the real world in some instances, and escapism's got its own problems. Yes. And we do cover the news, but like, you do need to be sobered to the fact that these people have no problem treating you like the royal family of Russia, or treating you like they think that they can kill you like it's a Steven Spielberg World War II special. Like that's their viewpoint. That's what they want. And you have to be prepared for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when you have people like Dreher that are doing Antifa's work, I mean, it's come on. Like
why bother?
Why bother? Like it's, I mean, even like mainstream Republicans, like it's just even people like should we mention Pedro? I don't know.
No, I'm not even gonna bother.
Why bother? Why give him attention?
Like the only thing I will say, the only thing I will say that made me laugh was he said that influencers should disclose who they're getting paid by. You first, buddy.
Yeah. A Apparently, I'm being paid by Barry Weiss, according to some people. That's
Really?
yeah.
Really?
No,
Wow.
this was like last year. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but yeah, that's kind of funny.
Well, that's funny though. It's like, the people that I told Lev I don't want to associate with. That's like what.
That's who
Nah,
you're
never mind.
associated with. Look at
Yeah,
that.
it's like God. Like, oh man, I have nothing. I'm not paid by anybody. I am not a part of any activist group. I'm not part of any education group here in Canada. I'm a part of no
Yeah.
group. Okay,
I'm not
let's
getting
make this
paid
clear.
either. I'd be
Yeah,
I wouldn't be asking for y'all's money on Subscribestar if I was making good cash from some political activist group, you know.
yeah, exactly. But that's what I mean. Like, it's incredible. I didn't hear about it. The people are getting doxxed again. What are you referring to, Prude? Or
There are just some rumors going around that the LCMS stuff might be kicking back up again. So just if something happens, be prepared to hear about doxing.
LCMS? What is
Yeah,
that?
the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod.
Oh, I see. The one that Ryan
Yeah.
Turnipseed was. Did
Yeah.
he post an update? What happened? They had this verdict they gave him, or I don't
Oh, I
know.
don't know actually. In fullness, I know that they had their convention this week, and they said that they weren't going to talk about the
Incident.
catechism again. But yeah, I mean, like we'll see. Like stuff is
Yeah.
still in a really weird environment right now. It's a sad place to be in right now.
I would say something like, like Ryan, I mean, Prude, you're Orthodox, I'm a Catholic, but I understand, like, I think like
Leftist subversion of the Christian church has been a long-going problem,
yeah.
and I think that this is the one time where ecumenism is okay to just be like, hey, this stuff is bad and it needs
Yes.
to go. Kick
Yeah.
the Antifa people out.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, like it's easy to say, "Oh, you know what, Ryan? Just convert, bro. Just convert, bro." Like, if you are part of a family who has deep ties in the Lutheran Church in America, I mean, like this is a huge like. I think like really, I feel for our friend Ryan Turnipseed because this must be like a very incredibly devastating thing because it deals with matters of faith, and I think that it's disgusting. I mean, it's what he's going through. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's beyond words. It's really, it's literally demonic in my opinion. It's literally
No,
demonic.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. Hopefully Ryan can find peace. Hopefully there's a resolution. Hopefully nothing comes to his father that apparently is he a pastor or something? What do they call him?
But his father's been involved and has been one of his biggest defenders.
Yeah, his father was a head of their local church or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Um, hopefully nothing. I mean, I could easily imagine though these bastards coming after his father too, just to punish
Well, they're in
Ryan.
Oklahoma, so let them fucking try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hope.
Oklahoma's significantly more based. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah.
mean, really, they are. It's
They
not
are.
even
Yeah,
funny.
but
It's not even funny. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
these are the things that you, as an individual in the West, especially in the United States, needs to be aware of and prepared for.
Oh, I have another little rant about the Christian schools. Um, it's funny because in the 90s up until the 2000s with millennials, there was this like huge like in media, there was like this neurosis about like the evil private schools that would abuse the kids and stuff or they would have like these youth homes and like listen, a lot of these places were havens of very evil abuses, right? But I noticed with millennials, we were given like the anti-Christian school propaganda with like Jesus camp and everything like that. Like you
Oh
remember
yeah,
that era? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man. Like so I think that the fact that Christian schools during the 2000s, they really had to capitulate. They had to like pretend that they're libs and they had to like hire these like cat ladies and they really like, and the thing is though, a lot of these private Christians, like you got to realize that in these evangelical schools, there is a lot of like very like weird stuff in terms of like, performative gender relations and stuff like that I don't agree with. But, you know, but I do think that they did go after the private Christian schools for a reason, because they were sort of like the last haven of having children being educated with more like conservative values, quote unquote. And there was really like this push against like private Christian teaching pedagogy in America during like the millennial era when we were all in grade school. And the Jesus camp thing was like the nail in the coffin in some ways.
Actually, never seen that, but I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, but do you know what I'm talking about, Prude?
No,
Like,
I
you
do. I
remember
do.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. I just
Did you go to
I
a
never
private
saw.
Christian school?
No, I went to public school.
Oh,
So
I went to a Catholic school that might as well have been a public school.
Oh, well, sorry to hear that.
That's how the Catholic school board is in Canada. It's true.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't get to see any of that. But man, what a black-pilling fucking discussion today.
Yeah, man,
That went dark.
But hopefully, tomorrow that's going to be Kino content. Haas versus Patrick Casey.
Oh God,
that's amazing. Yeah. I can't wait for that.
It's going to be a shit show. Like, it doesn't matter how calm. It doesn't matter how calm and prepared that Patrick is. It doesn't matter. Because it's just going to be a shit show, and it's just going to be the order of civility, the stream.
Order of civility.
The ordeal of civility, but yeah.
Ordeal of civility of the stream. Oh my God.
You're going to tell me that an ethnic man has got a problem with a white person that disagrees with him? Oh, the meltdown. Just like with Razib Khan and all the others. Yeah.
By the way, like I wanted to tweet this, but I just don't want to get into drama. With Razib Khan, if you're someone that does like the whole incel insult, then I think you should just be immediately discredited. And you're really like, that's such a weak, like anti-intellectual talking point. Razib, like he quote tweeted Kafefi Annan. He's like, "You're probably a fat, obese, basement dwelling virgin incel." It's like, come on, give me a break. Like, this is
fucking Kafefi Annan. Get real.
Yeah.
You know.
No, you're right. No, you're correct, PCSS. Like Haas, like, when he wants to be calm, he's calm. Like, that debate, I remember it was I want to say Logo and Haas, but really it was just Haas, because Logo didn't say very much besides like these little quips.
Oh yes, that debate
between Keith and Joel. And of course Ethan Ralph was a non-entity there. That was pretty funny. But no, it was mostly Haas versus Keith, which was, I mean, Haas did like, I thought Haas was quite incoherent because he's trying to like bridge Marxism with a more of like a spiritual understanding of species being in Marxist terminology. And they kind of was convoluted, and like, really, if someone like myself at the time when I was with Follow the Rules were to have moderated it, rather than who was moderating it, I think it would have been more coherent. But no, I mean, Haas, like, he can do a good debate. He can be pretty calm. But I just worry that he's going to, like, get pissed off, and he's just going to, like, I don't know, call Patrick Casey names. And, but it is funny, though. Patrick Casey, he's pretty vicious when he wants to be, like, especially in Twitter Spaces. He's like, but in a calm way, though, that's pretty funny, though. He's like,
I mean, only time will tell.
We'll see what happens. I'm getting ready for Kino and Nectar tomorrow. So,
well, he's gonna have Morgoth on in like 40 minutes, so it's or 20 minutes. So I mean, it'll be
all right
regardless.
Well, we covered a lot this stream. We didn't get to Billionaire Psycho's article, but we'll.
I wish he's back on Twitter. We should DM him questions, because I know he doesn't go on a lot of podcasts, but I wonder if we could ask him some stuff and read him up on air.
Has he ever voice doxed?
I don't know.
I could ask him.
Yeah. But even if, right, I mean, it'd still be a fun time to get some feedback from him.
Yeah. And of course, like, I think we should do that next week. And then the week after on my channel, we probably should cover Nathan Barley. We promised people that.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. You know what? The thing is, it's not even that Razib is like, what is he? He's Bangladesh. What is he? Indian?
I think he's Bangladeshi.
Bangladeshi? What is Razib Khan? I think he's Indian. No, it's not even that. It's just like, he's got a very, like, this guy, like, he's can't take a joke. Like, I just don't.
Well, but also like the tweets of like 2000s style
Oh God, yeah.
swearing, this bloody animal, blah blah, and it's just like, ay, good lord.
Like it's not even like he's like if you're like white or if you're in Bangladesh, it doesn't matter. I don't like people that just can't like that they can't see that sometimes a little bit of levity over yourself is warranted. I mean, if I flew off the handle every time someone called me fat, I mean, well, you know who I would turn into, but let's not mention his name. But someone mentioned him in the chat. But anyways, yeah. So I mean, people that can't take lightly of themselves, I just don't. I don't know. That's yeah, and people that block you over nothing. I mean, I block a lot of people. I have about like 300 Notho accounts blocked. I have about 200 Infield accounts blocked. I have about a lion's share of I would from 5 to 600 leftists blocked. But when it comes to just like blocking people that are on your side over nothing, yeah. Oh yeah, should we talk about the Atlantic article about I don't want to talk about that.
I mean,
it's another hit piece. So
here's the only thing I can say about it. There have been hit pieces and pieces written about him in both questioning as well as derogatory, investigatory matters. It does not matter what your opinion is of him. He has remained relatively untouched by them. And needless to say, he's got enough irony and enough public speaking. Don't do anything that is Spencer-esque in terms of public, protests and activism that would get you in trouble, to where it's like, okay, what are you going to do? You don't have to like him. You can hate him. You can think that, you can take the position of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like he's subversive.
Yeah. Like if you don't like him that way, that's totally, fine. I get that. Right.
Yeah.
But another hit piece written by some very balding leftist journalist at the Atlantic, like I really don't care. To me,
it's not even an original hit piece. Like it's not even a deep dive. It's just like it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't want to give an Atlantic journalist any attention.
Yep.
To the truth. So yeah, that thing came out. I mean, it is kind of weird how a lot of these journalists have an obsession over BAP. But other than that, like I mean, it just was the same. Like there were other hit pieces that actually were kind of more thought provoking than this one, but it's like the Atlantic. I mean, the Atlantic. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the Atlantic has had some thought provoking articles over the years. But like I despise the Atlantic. I think they're the worst, man. I think they're down there with the New Yorker, man. Like it's the Atlantic, the Atlanticist as I call it. Listen, I'm not a Duganist, okay? I'm not a Duganist. I'm not like I think Dugan has some good ideas. But I actually, in my book on neoliberal kitsch, I actually do critique Dugan in one chapter about the whole Russia-Eurasian thing.
All right, so Trump pleaded not guilty, and they did not seek pre-trial detention. So Trump is released on the most minimum conditions of release, which includes not being allowed to communicate with anyone known to be a witness with the case unless through an attorney. And said he'd abide by the conditions of the release, and he agreed to the release papers. So they didn't put him in jail. All right.
Oh, good. But they're going to just hold a Damocles over his head.
Oh, I mean, yeah, this isn't the only time.
Yeah.
They've done that.
So maybe nothing happening is correct in this one.
Maybe, but I mean, we're a long ways away from Iowa and New Hampshire, and we're more than a year away from November.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah, exactly. Duganism's too based for Gio. What do you mean, Cyber Ninja Zero? I thought people hated Dugan nowadays. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so I don't hate Dugan. I just think he's wrong about certain things. But anyways, yeah, the whole Trump thing, I mean, what like it's very annoying. It's very tiresome. What are they going to do? They're going to rein him again, and it's going to be another spectacle, and then they're going to release him. Like come on, man. It's just like yeah, it's they're going to do this all the way to the primaries. Okay, they're going to do this. One of the primaries they start right in 2020. They start. Right
They start soon.
Yeah,
Iowa caucuses.
When are they going to do the debates?
That's another. I don't know when they've been set up actually for that. Let's see when the 2024 primaries officially start. When does Iowa coming? Timeline. Trying to look it up. I don't know yet.
We forgot the martyr
January 15th. Yeah.
Oh my God, that early?
Yeah, with the Iowa caucuses.
Oh my God.
And the first presidential debate is supposed to take place later this month, August 23rd, 2023. When is that? That is a Wednesday. Oh boy. Well, I know what we're covering in a couple of weeks. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, is Trump going to be there?
Well, he's the fucking front runner. I don't see how they don't have him there.
Can you imagine Trump versus DeSantis finally?
I can't wait.
God,
that'll
DeSantis be so awkward, man.
He said he was going to put a knife to the throats of like the bureaucracy. And I'm like, all right, boy, he wants to reclaim that Death Santis moniker. But yeah, I mean, he's just so awkward. He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Maybe he should do like to his own throat, like when he's like, do you remember that episode of Black Mirror with the guy had the piece of glass?
Yeah.
But it became a prop. Like that's kind of like what DeSantis, like, I don't know. DeSantis doesn't strike me as being a whole, like, parousia in public, speaking truth. I don't know. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy. He's dorky. He should have just stayed governor of California.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, governor of Florida.
Governor of Florida.
Can you imagine if he was governor of California?
He'd fix so many problems.
Yeah.
He'd be better off. Invade California, Ron. Do the world a favor.
I wanted to ask you, should we cover the Murder Maid controversy or no?
Over his position on immigration, or
that probably gets into an optical territory with Africa and
that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got a point, but the way he went about it, I appreciate. I like Murder Maid. He's a friend of ours, but it's just that
Martyr's criticizing, I think, more of a rhetorical position above anything else. And so I get where he's coming from, but like you still have the unreasonable issue, the uncomfortable issue of a foreign aid has only exacerbated the problems here, and maybe that should be something worth reconsidering, and then that always raises uncomfortable questions.
Well, before, back in the day, there were critics of foreign aid, even on the political left. There were critical theorists who were critical of foreign aid because it hampers inbound economies. But I mean, that's I think okay. You know what? Let's kind of avoid this optical issue. Let's go to a more salient critique. Ananda Kumaraswamy. Sorry, I joke. Ananda Kumaraswamy running for president. Vivek Ramaswamy versus Fisher King and John Doyle. That was pretty funny, actually.
Well, it just goes back to the American identity issue. And I mean, like, is anyone surprised that this is what he wants to be? Like, I'm not particularly surprised that, you're telling me a guy that wants more high-skilled immigration who happens to be from a tech and venture capital background who's also Indian. Like, it just illustrates that as the Republican Party wants to have this more
legal immigration of high-skilled people.
Well, that in a more quote-unquote multi-ethnic working class, republicanism or whatever the hell that means. He wants to what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's going to be fractures. A primarily white party trying to like bring in others. It's kind of just proof that, hey, like, multi-ethnic democracies really don't work out all that well because people are going to be more tribalistic. Like, that just tends to be the case.
No, but also like the argument that people have of like pure meritocracy. If all of these high IQ like Indians and Chinese people are coming here and they're displacing white people, then they probably deserve it because it's like pure meritocracy and all this crap. Like there's a lot of social issues that go into this. And Canada's ground zero of this whole thinking about like the high IQ immigrant. It's just like, it really shows that the Republicans don't have values beyond just like, the green line going up. And this whole thing about like America's an ideal, America's a proposition nation. I mean, this is a very ancient debate, obviously. And Vivek, it's just like, I think the problem is that, like, and we've touched this before, everyone sort of doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that every person of every ethnicity has their own interests, and Vivek doing this whole like America's about the ideals, even though it's very convenient for someone in tech, someone who's, from India, someone like you said, Prude, like people have their actual lizard brain affiliate towards their own people. And liberal modernity wants to mask this and say that this isn't real anymore. It is. And it doesn't matter that Vivek, I mean, does he have any based positions? I mean, or is he just like sort of like this, capitalist first type of
I mean, he's been doing pretty interesting stuff with respect. Like, it's all performative, but I mean, like, he's performative in the aspect of like, oh, we need to release the Nashville Troon Shooter Manifesto and stuff like that. I'm going to sue for
but
it.
That's
and I mean, he's actually been more vocal about the whole arraignment shit with Trump than DeSantis has.
Yeah,
DeSantis
we'll give him that.
I haven't read the indictment documents, but we shouldn't politicize. Whereas, like, he went out of his way and said, like, no, this is bullshit, more or less. And it was just
I got to give Vivek that. He
has better campaign instincts than fucking DeSantis, which is like, wow, that's pretty sad
from the bottom rung there, eh?
That's pretty sad there, buddy.
Yeah. He's Elon Musk's favorite guy.
Oh, of course. He's Richard Hanania's favorite guy.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah. Like, this is the world I live in.
Oh, that Hanania tweet about these people that sent for Russia, like it's. Did he tweet against like
we don't give bait. You don't take the bait.
I know, but didn't he tweet against, it was either Fisher King or Patrick Casey, I forget, who Hanania quote tweeted. Or maybe Kefefi Anon.
One of those three, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like, where's Hanania on him? Oh, I know. Like, is Hanania sort of like the Anatoly Karlin, like the smartest people in the world believe in open borders, so therefore we should believe in open borders? Or what does Hanania
he
believe?
thinks he's the smartest man in the room, that's for fucking sure. But I don't know, like...
where's Hanania on the immigration issue?
I don't know. I just know that he enjoys talking about race a lot.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I don't know.
See. I mean, realistically, Vivek, I don't picture him getting that much of the vote.
No, but he is there for a job. He's applying for a job.
Yeah.
He's not there for. I don't think he feasibly sees himself winning. But boy, oh boy, does that guy.
He has political aspirations.
He has aspirations for a job somewhere. I don't know what that job will be, and I don't know what it looks like. But he wants. He's after some kind of sinecure.
Yeah. And I think, like, really the Republicans, like, they're thinking more of him instead of Trump after Trump. Like, yeah. I mean, it's
we'll see. Only time will tell.
But it is funny, though, how Fisher King and Patrick Casey and Kefefi Anon basically, like, owned him. That was really funny. But, of course, like, Fisher King, he deleted that tweet. And then Vivek is like, we should talk on a Twitter space about this again. And it's like, oh my God. Like,
even funny. Warren said he'd be willing to host it, but we'll see.
Warren's really based in immigration, man. People give him flack, but he's really, like, he calls it as he sees it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, even today he was tweeting about it. But Vivek said he'd be militant at the border. What?
Well, he's been openly saying that he wants to, like, declare war on, like, the cartels and engage in, like, military action south of the border.
That is,
and I'm like, I'm kind of all for it in that respect, like, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a rather hawkish position. I don't know how well that would go.
Yeah.
But, like, only time will tell. Only time will tell.
There's a lot of problems. I remember there was this ex-military guy that had this thread on Twitter about how people like Republican boomers that have this fantasy about, like, using the USG to go out, the USM to go after the cartels, how it wouldn't work out. That there's, like, a lot of like, people don't know this. There is quite a bit of like, as a jobs program, as the American military has devolved into, there's quite a bit of, like, Norteños and Sureños in that who are actually in the American military, and how they would, like, not that you would want to question anyone's loyalty, but there's quite a huge percentage of Hispanics in America that would not go for this, even though ostensibly getting rid of the cartels would be good for the Mexican,
People.
Guatemalan, all sorts of people in South America and Central America. It would be amazing if the USG the U.S. military just redacted the cartels. But there's a lot of people. They would foment sort of ethnic rivalries in America.
It makes me think about the fragging incidents with respects to what's the word I'm looking for? Vietnam and the ethnic underpinning of that. Like, I'd imagine that would happen again if we ever went to war where it wasn't just the white guys fighting.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like the North Vietnamese and South Vietnamese? Is that?
I meant the Vietnam War, where where officers would get fragged, or like there would be racial underpinnings to like American troops killing each other.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I mean, something awful will happen. That's all I can say.
Oh yeah, there would be even like weak officers that the troops didn't like that would mysteriously,
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It would just happen on ethnic lines.
Oh my God. I mean, hey, look what happened to Indira Gandhi in India with the Sikhs. Her own guard redacted her. So, yeah, I mean, of course, it was over bombing the Golden Temple. They probably shouldn't have done that. But their justification was that they were hiding arms and everything. In the Sikh separatists were using the Golden Temple as a shield to do military activities. But still, yeah, I mean, this is real. Because America is no longer a real unified civilization, unfortunately. And man, that's a lot of black pills today, man.
We're gonna have to make up for it next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make up for it next week. But we did get quite a few, pretty good viewership this week, so that's pretty consistent, anyways. Yeah, there were. Yeah, that's true. Is this true? There were borderline race riots in Navy shipyards during the Vietnam War.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah, in California as well. There was
like Vietnam. Like, you take the 1960s like racial stuff that was happening at home, and then you try and put that in the military. No, like there's a reason why, like that's the case. I mean, yeah, this stuff will happen again.
Yeah. Oh, look at this take by Javier. Yeah. Step 1, create IQ shredder cities. Step 2, import high IQ immigrant. Oh my God.
What's it would be funny, and I'm this is just a side note to myself. I'm just thinking to myself, I wonder if this just means with IQ shredders and whatnot, we're just gonna get McNamara's 100,000 again.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah,
anyways.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
There's a ton of arguments against high IQ immigrants, right? Like, I mean, basically, you're robbing their native countries of potential to get.
Oh yeah, brain drain and all that.
Yeah.
But shall we?
Super chats.
Stupers.
All right. If you want to give one last time, please give deeply. Or a manual typewriter, the whole bit. So let's go to the super chats.
I got a manual typewriter.
Nice.
Yeah, I got one from Cringewalker of all people.
Oh God, he would have a manual.
He won 2 in a bid, and he gave me the other one, and I quite like it.
Nice. That's great. So right off the bat, oh my God, for $20 by Post Not Clarity, our good friend and patron. Finally watching Barbie, the opening scene where the giant feminist doll arrives and inspires the little girls to smash and shatter the skulls of the baby dolls that represent their future daughters, sure was something. Yeah, that was supposed to be 2001: A Space Odyssey, the beginning, the monolith.
Yeah.
So Barbie's like the monolith. She's the one that's bringing awakening to the little girls of the world. So that was such ham-fisted symbolism. Like, I gotta admit, that was.
Yeah, it wasn't even good.
Yeah.
Like, it just. Oh yeah, no words. Very ham-fisted.
So for very ham-fisted. So for $5, but I can't display this. Instead of FMK, it's It's just
redact,
K.
redact.
Yeah, redact. But of course, he had to put it like.
Of course.
Yeah, Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, and Brianna Wu. Oh my god.
Well,
I love
they all
Fishy
lost
Frenzy,
in the
man.
end.
Yeah, they're all lost in the end.
Well, I mean, they all won, but they also,
Should we do an FMK of this though?
No.
Okay, I marry Anita.
I'm shutting this down. No.
Okay, I'm not good. Okay. Because we know who's gonna get the K in that the redact in that one, so it would be all of them. No, but I mean, out of those three, I mean, Anita and Zoe, they're mids. Zoe used to look a lot better when she was just a nerd girl, but I mean, Anita, like, I still think Anita is like somewhat attractive, even though her soul is rotted. But come on, Brianna Wu. Anyways, let's move on. Let's not entertain this, okay?
Dig yourself further into that trench, buddy.
I know. I promise to be serious, but let's move on. So for 50 pounds sterling, oh my god, by Metch name. Eye up, fellas, keep the good work. Thank you. So wow, that's like, how much is that in Canadian dollars? That's like $60-$70, no? My god, yeah.
Pound. Oh, I don't. Oh, that's crypto. Sorry, Canadian dollars.
Sorry. CDN. That's the Canadian.
Yeah. I did that. 84 Canadian.
Whoa! Holy crap! That's amazing. Thank you so much. Wow. Holy crap. Yeah. Well, God bless you, sir. Wow, I'm floored, man. Thank you so much. So. Son of Haster for $5, our good friend, our good patron, Son of Haster. Every man is a nerd about which, we already covered this.
It's so true. It's very true.
So true. And for $5, by the way, listen, guys, I forgot this. I promised my good friend Piffinard, thank God I remember this. Let me just take this off for a minute. My good friend Piffinard reached out to me. My good friend Jack Piffy, his best friend is an avid listener and an avid geocell, but he listens to every single Digital Archipelago. He turned 30 this week. So happy birthday to my good friend Piffy's friend. I wish you, God bless. I wish you a happy 30 years old. I am also 30 years old, and I know what it's like to be, very like hung up on turning 30 and turning 30. I know what it's like. So happy birthday to Piffy's friend. God
happy
bless
birthday,
you, sir.
good sir. Many years in the future and many years of success.
Exactly. Thank you. And of course, being 30 years old is the new 20 for the millennial. So we're entering our best years. All right. So for $5 by Seasider, playing For Honor while I listen. Is For Honor a good game?
I have not played it. I would not know. It's kind of like a melee combat game with some dueling elements. But yeah, no, exciting.
There you go.
Always happy for our gamers in chat.
We love our gamers, folks. We love our gamers. They're the best. The best. And Steve Hines for $5. Ever play the tabletop strategy game Diplomacy? Really fun with enough people.
It is fun if you've got 4 or more people.
What is this about? What is Diplomacy about?
Diplomacy is a tabletop game where it is kind of trying to be like Diplomacy. It begins in it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's the Calhamer one. You can buy it from Wizards of the Coast. 2 to 7 players. You can play for as long as like 4 to 12 hours. But it's sort of like in Europe right before the First World War starts. I think it's set 1901, right? Or 1910, one of those two. But yeah, you got like attack and supplies to capture, but it's the great game of Europe. You can play for a long time. I think I've played a 10-hour game of it. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow.
Cup of tea.
It's kind of like Risk.
Way more in depth. Take Settlers of Catan plus Risk.
Whoa.
Rachel Herzer says, my family likes to play Phase 10. So does mine. It's a family tradition where with my family, Phase 10 is the family game where we'll all get around my grandmother's dinner table. And it's a lot of fun. I love that card game.
Phase 10.
It's a great game.
That's a wholesome moment.
3 games of diplomacy are required to understand international relations. 1 to get stabbed in the back, 1 to get stabbed in the front, and 1 to stab everyone else. So true, Whitworth. So true.
That's realpolitik right there.
Absolutely.
And so Hugo Glass for 50. Hugo Glass 56 for 50 MX. What's MX? Is that Mexican peso?
Mexican peso.
Yeah, that's like about $3, right? Wait, what is 50?
He gave deeply.
He gave deeply.
In
Thank
his
you.
own country.
Thank you, Hugo Glass. The mainstreaming of being a dork is one of the worst effects of the feminization of society. Yeah, that is true. But I mean, there's a lot of a lot of nerd culture is implicitly masculine, but at the same time, I understand what you mean. That is true. Can I display the T word?
Which T word?
If you go to Internet Friends donation.
Sure, why not? I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, okay. So for $5 by my good friend, Internet Friend, and Canadian, $5 Canadian, Soviet Troon anime girl made superconductor in Zur bedroom. American LARPs. American ones LARP as Ukrainian arrest our boy. Jeez Louise, I'm blackpilling again. One of them made a conductor in their bedroom?
I would honestly, if
wouldn't put it
one of the
past them.
superconductor people is a Troon, it just illustrates that this really is science is male.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But who's what's the Ashley? I'm not even going to say the name, but yeah, the one that was bragging about Gonzalo being arrested by the Ukrainian security service.
Turbo America moment.
Turbo America, exactly. So Melon for $5 American. Didn't Mitch McConnell show up beaten up with a black eye? Yeah, but a lot of politicians are showing up with a black eye.
Yeah, I know. It just raises an interesting question of who the hell is beating the crap out of all these elderly people.
And celebrities.
Yeah,
there's like whole like schizo 4chan infographics or videos on BitChute about how celebrities and politicians all have black eyes at different times. It's like a ritual thing. They all get black eyes. Yeah. I don't know. It's got to be some kind of Laurel Canyon, Bohemian Grove. Got to consult someone like Jay Dyer. I think Jay Dyer actually did a video on it.
I think so.
A long time ago, but yeah,
instead of name them, it's dead name them. That's funny.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, for $2. Speaking of a manual typewriter, Lou Templar for $2, our good friend. Let's not forget Breaking Voyager. What is breaking?
Yes, they did break Voyager. So allegedly, an improper command was sent off to the Voyager probe that has been out in space since the 1970s.
Yeah,
that we probably will never hear from again if this gets correct. So yeah, that's
terrible.
We've lost it. We've lost it.
I wonder who that's
woman.
If they find out whoever you think
we already know
it's a woman.
Woman.
Listen, I don't want to play into grug brain misogyny, but that is pretty bad.
Yeah, you can't drive a car, can't drive a spaceship.
Oh god, that's bad. Voyager's been out forever, man. How many discoveries were made because of Voyager? That's
both
terrible.
Voyager probes, and now we've lost one of them.
Oh god, I can't believe that, man. That's
this multi-generational project of keeping something in space that we can still communicate with. That is
made it to the edge of the Milky Way.
It made it to the edge of our solar system, and I think is screaming past the Oort cloud. But
oh god,
thanks.
Yeah, we were going to hit.
I don't want to Gio. Listen, I don't want to pattern recognize. They're claiming that they've already reestablished contact. Well, God, I hope so.
God, yeah.
Keep her away from the control. Janeway broker Voyagers. Well, so true.
Janeway broker.
The one thing I like about Janeway is that she is the perfect example of a schizophrenic woman in command, where it's just we must obey the Prime Directive, but oh, by the way, we're going to give these Kazon weapons. Oh boy. We gotta defeat the Borg. It's just awful.
Oh my god.
But
Janeway, who's better, Janeway or Who is Deep Space Nine?
Cisco's better. Cisco's better. Sorry,
Yeah.
DS9 is infinitely better than Voyager. Don't give a shit.
Oh man,
At me.
is Deep Space Nine the one where they keep committing war crimes against aliens?
Yes.
I gotta watch this.
As long as you can ignore the awkward Israel-Palestine conflict in the background of it.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch any of those because my old man during the time was like, "Oh, those are trash. It's only the only ones that are good are the original series and the one with Picard. That's it." And I'm like, okay, so I didn't get to watch any of those. But maybe I should. Yeah. Deep Space Nine. I guess I could watch Deep Space Nine. Anyways, $5 by Sam153 in Canadian. Sneed for the DA boys. I get it, Du Bois.
That's good.
Yeah. DA
Thank
boys.
you, sir.
And our good friend New Gloff. Apparently, Settlers of the Men blocked New Gloff. I don't know why. Thanks for the black pills today's guys.
At least they were happening at a non-insomnia related hour.
Yeah, exactly. For $2 by Melon. Off topic. Did anyone see the flood in Beijing? There was a flood in Beijing.
Yeah, there was, and there was some video footage of it where a lot of guys in manufacturing centers and packaging plants were crying for help. It's kind of dark.
Oh my god. Is there like live there's live leaks on in Telegram?
Yeah, on Telegram, but I mean there was footage of this stuff on Twitter.
I should look this up. I didn't see this. There's periodic flooding in China, but
yeah.
For $4.99 by Mike Coxlong. I hold here, Mike Coxlong. In a world of coal, Digital Archipelago is the De Beers company. Here's my weekly coal toll. Parasociality is cancer, but you fellas are all right. Yeah, that's a good one.
We try.
Are you saying that we post coal?
No, he's saying
I guess we're a gem company. We're a gem company. That's right. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Mike Coxlong. What a name. What a name. And for $4.99 by Cody Browning, our good friend, MPC TikTok, but it's Francis E. Deck quotes, communist computer god, communist gangster computer god.
Oh man.
I wonder if Francis E. Deck has made his way to TikTok. I wonder.
I'm gonna go open an incognito tab for TikTok and see what they're doing.
I should ask Default. She's on TikTok 5 hours a day when
that's a terrifying thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go check real quick.
Yeah. I love the way she says it too. Like, I'm on, like, if you can picture her voice, she's like, I'm on TikTok like 5 hours a day. Like, how do I do her voice? It's pretty decent. I'm on TikTok 5 hours a day. Like, it's
journalists, folks.
Oh boy.
Francis E. Deck. See what we get here. Top videos. Huh. Okay. Nothing about Francis E. Deck.
Well,
there's a Francis E. Deck account, which with a profile that says "Deadly Touch Tarantula Spiders."
Yeah, the Deadly Touch tape and the Deadly Touch Tarantula Spiders. Yeah. Oh my god.
But no, nothing that looks Francis E. Deck related.
Yeah, Zoomers need to discover Francis E. Deck, and oh my god, for $10 by Joseph. Braun Son sends his regards, man. Love the show. Thank you. Braun Son's a great account. And I really like that. I really like that profile. That's a marker tree. I actually did not a wood engraving. I did a copper plate engraving of a marker tree that was in my town, but it got destroyed by a lightning by lightning, and they had to chainsaw it in the 80s. My old man remembers driving by it. But thank you, Joseph, for $10. Wow, thank you. This has been great. And how do I say his name?
Which one?
Oh yeah, Timothus.
Timothus
89, our good friend. Good stream for $5. Good stream despite the dark topics. Please pray for my 2-year-old, for he has broken his. Oh my God, he's broken his arm and needs surgery. God bless you. Yes, thank you, Timothus. We are praying for your 2-year-old. Hopefully everything's all right. When I was
down on the prayer list today.
Yeah. When I was 2 years old, I dislocated my shoulder. I was trying to climb out the crib. But yeah, man, that's terrible, man. But you know what they say? They say that, when they do break their bones at that age, that they heal up rather quickly. So hopefully everything's fine. That's terrible, man. We're praying for your son, your 2-year-old son or daughter. I don't know. Son, he doesn't want to dox, but
broke his arm and may need surgery. His son. Okay.
Oh, his arm. Sorry, yeah. I thought,
Gotcha,
his,
Timothus.
Yeah.
We'll be praying for your son.
We'll be praying for your son, Timothus. Yeah, so this has been a great stream. Let's see what the chat's final. So, yeah, send prayers in the chat as well for Timothus' son. Keep Timothus' son in your prayers. But yeah, this has been a great stream. Been very high energy despite the black pill topics. So, do we have a new super chat? Timothus. No, that was the last one. So yeah, next week, what are you up to, Prue? Do you have a stream with Charlemagne?
I will be on with Charlemagne this Saturday evening. I've got a longer recorded. Well, we'll have the Digital Archipelago out on my channel next week, and then that weekend, I'm going to have a review of William Appleman Williams's Empire's a Way of Life, published in 1979. It's an interesting look at American foreign policy and U.S. history. And then on top of that, I have a new video out today called Digital Ayahuasca. So by all means, give that guy video a watch. I think it'll be interesting for you guys.
Yeah, and I was working on the reading of my article on the Anons and Jordan Peterson. So that'll come out. I have to, I have a lot of recording to do with the Digital Archipelago. Of course, I'm writing my book, so I'm balancing other things. But yeah, next week hopefully we'll get back to we'll have some good content out, and yeah, so next week will be on Prude's channel, and maybe we'll cover the Billionaire Psycho article. Finally, we'll finish it up. So thank you all, and I know this has been your daily dose of black pills. Devin Stack, daily dose of black pills. Did you see that Sandman? Speaking of daily dose of red pills, you see that Sandman got ratioed for that one tweet?
I did not.
The tweet about how men are becoming weaker over the generations.
Oh,
anyway, yeah.
Well, I didn't see that. Well, I think I saw tweets about it. I didn't see it directly, but yeah. Interesting.
It was funny, but he does the whole thing like your daily dose of red pills. Anyways, $4.99 super sticker by Subject to Change. Thank you, Subject to Change, and we'll see you next week, everybody. This has been a great show, and as always, I also have to update my my Spotify anchor with the Digital Archipelago episodes. I will do this this week. So, thank you all. God bless. Goodbye. Too sweet.
See you, gents.